close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands, and we'll grow in number. Fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. God that the brothers on the rise now. Woo! Endless celebrations all in my house. Yeah. Levitating now, I'm super duper fly now. Yeah. London boy, but DC where I reside now. Put the time in while you always yelling time out. And for quit it, cause I know I'm coming with it. You were sitting, you were wishing I was handling my business. Yeah. Now I got the ball like Harry Potter playing Quidditch. And my business is humongous, you would think that happens in there. Damn man, I'm all that, yeah, I'm all that. Looking for that whip, yeah, that what you call that. I'ma blow up in the summer, have him yelling fall back. And I've always been ahead like an effing ball cap. Man, I came in the game like, whoa. Got a couple chains on me cause I like gold. They told me I'm the best and I told them I know. Cause when I'm in your town, every ticket I sold. Yeah, they saying I'm the man. Facts, bro. Facts, lot of haters. Tell me where they at though. I'm the new pop, all I do is rap though. Yeah. Want me on your song, throw a couple stacks, yo. Woo. Everybody wanna do the same thing. Yup. That's why we ain't on the same page. No. Do my own thing and I maintain. Woo. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. I'm going mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. Yeah, I'm going mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. I'm going mainstream. Mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. Yeah. I'm going mainstream. Damn. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. I'm going mainstream.
fun, so I'm going mainstream. Hi there, everyone. Welcome to Dire Bear Adventuring Company, Alone in the Void. That's right, we're traveling in space. We have a few people who will be arriving late, who will be getting here shortly. So bear with us. As you can see, we have half of the crew. The rest of them, we either spaced them or they're just running behind. We'll get. I guess we'll learn more as we go. Real quick recap from last week, where we had some interesting things happen. The Tritimus made itself more known, asked to interface with, asked to be joined together with the communication systems on the ship. They agreed, and it spoke to them in a pleasing, calming British tone. Hello, I'm the Tritimus. I felt that this was more acceptable and less alarming than other accents. Which, having a conversation off camera is indeed the case, because we've decided that if his voice were a little different, it might be either terrifying or at least troubling. Much communication.
For when I'm afraid of British people.
That's because you're a New Zealander, or at least I am. the history of them. Thank you very much for being with us, by the way, Atlas. I know you're not feeling well, so...
Oh, no, I mean, I'm on the tail end, so I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me be here and everything. I'm trying to figure out how to get my video to work.
He worked together with the science officer to improve efficiency on the Praetor and make it actually travel faster than what it was. They've actually toned down the energy consumption. We've learned more about mapping, and there were whole advances in science, medicine, made through his sharing information with Nara, things that would far advance our understanding of medical knowledge, even at the point we are in the future where this takes place. Tritimus seems to be, for all the intents and purpose and everything that they can make out, all in the up and up.
Sure.
You convince them that they can once again retire to the cryopods, because that's exactly what you want to hear from the murderous captor is, hey, it's fine, go to sleep. Does this smell like chloroform to you? No, they were advised that they would be returned to cryo because they would not live through, I mean, they probably live through, but they would be in much of useful shape.
Grandmas and grandpas.
So, against some of their better judgments, they once again enter the cryopods to sleep, with the understanding that they would wake at a certain time period. 84 years passed. They were awoken 1 month and just a smattering of days from their actual destination. When asked why they were awoken, they were met with an android, or I should say a robotic body. Not one, but two of them. One of them a sleek, shaped, well-formed body of the Tritimus. The other, a more rudimentary, awkward angles of the Praetor. When asked how it was you did this, you have no hands. There was a brief pause, and they blurt out, I woke Science Officer Nain to take care of this, and then wiped his memory and put him back to sleep. To which Nara exclaimed, I'm sorry, you did what? But with a little less calm and a lot more force.
You did what?
Well,
what?
Yes. They returned to the medical bay to discover what, if anything, was wrong with Nain. The test resulted with nothing out of the ordinary, other than the fact that the Praetor who followed them in, like some kind of misguided, less communicative version of a Star Wars protocol droid, basically it kept saying the same thing over and over again. That Nain had been asleep and counted for the same amount of years and time that the rest of the officers had. And then he kept repeating that over and over again. This Goldilocks' habitable zone that they found in this solar system that they're in, which has dual suns that feed off of each other. The habitable zone, the mass of the suns together equal our sol, our star. However, there are two of them, and they just feed off. In the habitable zone, there are not one, not two, but three different planets. One of them being, we had the conversation off camera, a hot Jupiter, a gas planet that actually has a, I wouldn't say it's habitable in that it's a gas giant. You wouldn't want to try to live on it, but the temperature of it is actually habitable. But there are two other planets. Both of them being what we call blue planets, or in other words, they have noticeable and sizable amounts of water or liquid on them, I should say. Not necessarily water, but liquid. They're still a month out, though. When asked why they woke him a month early, or at least weeks earlier than what they originally planned, the idea was acclimatization and making sure they got their bearings. Not to mention, it was kind of alarming to wake up 2 weeks before landing with the stress of that on your plate, as well as going, oh, hey, by the way, the two AIs that you have, one of them more rudimentary, the other one more advanced, now have bodies. Deal with that too. But the Tridemus remains as amiable as he always has presented himself. It's just a question of what are your ulterior motives? And that's where we'll begin tonight. I want to thank Atlas, who is not feeling the 100%, but is still here with us, and we love her for it. We want to thank Atlas, who is playing Tane. We want to thank Maddie, who is playing Nara. Jason, who's playing Skippy, and V is playing Quentin. Jack, who is playing, I almost said Yenfear, Captain Marilyn, will be along with us. Captain Yenfear. That's a terrifying thought if you think about it.
Who made this man captain?
We gave him a ship? Why?
Who authorized this?
We made a lot of bad decisions during the campaign, but
did they get upset?
They called it the Fairy Dragon.
The They're gone. Jack left. Jack's like,
Nara inexplicably feels this insane need to blow that the fuck up.
Anyways, we will have also Pelka, who is playing as Nain Collinson, the science officer. They're both currently indisposed. They'll be joining us here shortly.
Android's first kill count.
Separately indisposed, not together. Disposed separately.
I just thought the word indisposed was funny.
Indisposed. Well, they haven't been disposed of.
The incinerator's not running right yet.
Yeah, we haven't started on that path yet.
Of course, that's the first thing you need to start up on any ship is the incinerator. Because how else are you going to get rid of the bodies in space? I guess you could just jettison them out the airlock.
But that leaves a trail.
Yeah, it starts leaving logs behind about how many times you've opened the airlock and who and all this other stuff. So, Nara. Nain checks out. His vitals are fine. The Praetor stands there with a worried voice. Of course, his face doesn't have any emotional expression, but the voice continues to repeat the same thing. Science Officer Nain Collinson. Cryosleep. 84 years. Medical Officer. Kalanara Morrison. Cryosleep. 84 years. And then he repeats the information.
Praetor, was there a jump at all for Science Officer Nain Collinson? And by a jump, I mean, was there any point where the cryosleep was interrupted?
Logs show no interruption in cryosleep.
Kill the orb. Kill the orb. Kill the orb.
Would you like to look around for the orb? Remember that it keeps a dampening field on itself?
The orb is now a android somehow.
I wonder if the android can turn invisible.
No, the Galaxy S9 doesn't have that yet. I think the iPhone does, though.
Oh, Lord.
I'm gonna reach over and
Slat Atlas.
activate the comms.
All right, the comms light up.
Hey, Tane, can you report to the medical bay, please?
All right. He does that.
It's a very short walk, as you and I have planned out. You arrive at the medical officer, or the medical bay.
All right, officer. What can I help you with?
She's gonna reach out and lock the medical bay door.
Okay.
That's ominous as hell.
She's reaching behind him.
just
like
locks it. And then reaches over. The next thing she does is she reaches over and turns the cameras off.
NASA shirts.
Yeah, bitch. Who's winning?
I saw Atlas says I needed to get mine. I got it for this reason.
Okay.
Tane,
cameras are off.
how do you
If you
feel?
think you're about to try and kill me, it's not gonna work.
I
Just a heads up.
should I be considering killing you?
No. Just
That seemed like a loaded question, even for the DM.
I mean, I guess it would depend, but regardless of all that, why'd you turn off the cameras if you're not planning some stupid shit?
Some murder.
How much do
Some
you trust
murder.
robots?
Absolutely not at all. Except for like
Good.
the toaster and the brave little toaster. I trusted that little thing. He was cute.
I wouldn't. That's the one I wouldn't trust at all.
I always
Really?
liked the vacuum, but
Yeah.
How did they come to life? I don't trust anything that just automatically just has it. At
Alright.
least with a robot, I can explain it was programmed.
It's a
Tane,
magical experience, you cuck. No, anyways.
Tane,
Okay.
we may have a problem.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, I figured. I mean, didn't they say they like brought Nain out of cryo sleep and all sorts of other crazy shit? I don't trust these robots even a little bit.
Except for the fact that Nain never woke up out of cryo sleep at all.
To which the Praetor responds, Nain Collinson, Science Officer, Cryosleep, 84 years.
Well, that's even worse.
He
So you're
repeats the
telling
same
me-
information for me, which means we all went to sleep at the same time, and we're not woken up again. Now, before we go raising any alarms, we're going to have Nain look through to make sure that nothing was wiped off the system. He would be able to find it if it was. But
Alright.
my working theory is not a good one.
What's the theory?
There is something on here than just us.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a wild guess and say it's the giant orb we pulled in
Besides
from the
the
outside.
orb.
Wow, that's even better. Alright, how about we ask, Praetor, was there anything else that hit or boarded the ship that we don't know about so far? Fuck.
Unconfirmed. No other access to the Praetor has been made. Airlocks remain locked. Access to the ship has not been had by any outside force.
Which means it could have been something inside of the orb.
Negative.
Praetor, you saw what happened when Nain, supposedly, or whatever, built these bodies for you two. What was inside the orb?
Unknown. Unidentified.
So there was something.
Designated item AI Tritimus. Built. Designated android part avatar Praetor.
This fucking robot's not helping me at all. Anyways, alright, that being said.
The robot's just the Praetor. The Praetor can only give us the information that it knows.
Affirmative.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay. Praetor,
I'm saying,
Praetor, we understand.
Praetor's
You can
not
just,
helping.
unless we specifically ask you a question, you don't need to answer.
Confirmed.
Which means
kind of cute.
The Tritimus either transformed itself from the orb to this android. Look, I don't know. I don't deal in these conspiracy theories. That's your job.
The Praetor does this.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's raising its hand like we're in school.
You're cold on you with the metal bits.
Confirmed.
Wait,
Tritimus transformation. Confirmed.
Oh.
So wait a second, it just did that. It just like turned into a robot? Like Transformers, like
confirmed.
Like Optimus Prime, like Bumblebee, like that?
Unknown AI Optimus Prime.
Tonic, it doesn't understand the reference. It doesn't understand the reference.
Yeah, I figured that out, smart guy.
Unknown
All I'm saying is
designation
maybe
Bumblebee.
we should be showing the robots a few more movies. Anyways. So, it says transformation. Freda, you care to elaborate? Do you have any kind of video or something we can look at?
Confirmed.
Oh, hell yeah. All right. Pull it up then.
He walks over and you watch as on one of the screens that you have there. You see video of the bridge of the ship. The orb comes into view. You watch as this almost like T-1000 mixed with actual Transformer kind of transformation. It's kind of this weird amalgamation, but like Tane is both alarmed and kind of intrigued, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. He gently pats the Praetor on like its head area-ish thing. Which
Considering that you are taller than it, yeah, okay.
Oh yeah.
It does not understand the gesture, but I'm sure if it could, it would appreciate that. But you watch as the outer shell of the orb doesn't like fall away, but kind of splits down an unseen seam.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember how on the X-ray you saw this kind of like an energy in the middle, this bright white spot on your X-ray? You weren't sure what it was, but the cables, the shape of the orb itself, and everything just sorts to transform and remove and reposition and reshape, and what you see is the end product.
Oh, like hell it does. I don't want anything to do with that fucking robot. Oh shit. Where is the orb right now? And who is it with?
The orb is would be on the bridge. The orb is on the bridge. Tritimus itself, you're not sure. He might be on the bridge as far as you know.
Wait, so the body of the okay. I came from the bridge, right? Because I had gone from the cryo rooms to the bridge, and now.
Okay. Yes, you were on the bridge. The Tritimus was there when you last left.
Okay. Spicy. So it was with Quentin, Skippy, and the captain.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm here with Nain and Nara. Okay. Okay. I turn to Nara and I just say, listen, it's clear that something's going on here that none of us really understand. frankly, I think it'd be a bad idea. Not that I have a lot of good ideas. I think it'd be a bad idea to bring everybody down here and have some kind of secret meeting where the orb can't see us, because that will just cause more suspicion, I assume. Because that's, you know, what always happens in the movies. Not like those are any help. But, anyways, I'm gonna go back up to the bridge and, see what I can do about warning the others, one by one, so it's not such a, massive affair, if that makes sense.
I knew I found the right person for the job.
Thanks. You're not so bad yourself. He hits the door button or whatever, walks through the automatic door or whatever, and heads back for the
kind of.
What?
It
like
doesn't
it
open.
like it opens a little and then it doesn't
No.
open?
No, it doesn't open at all. It hits against the lock that Nara set on it.
Oh, sorry. Here.
Right.
And she'll reach over and use her handprint to unlock the door.
Thanks. Right.
Praetor, can you go with Tane, please?
Affirmative.
Are you sure that's such a good idea?
Yep.
All right. I mean,
Praetor,
no.
you are under orders to not reveal what was discussed in this room in the presence of the Tridemus AI.
Affirmative. Request for log wipe.
Granted.
Thank you.
Wipe out the last 15 minutes.
Affirmative.
Including the diagnosis of Nane's lack of sleep.
Affirmative. Speaking of Nane,
And then
I was about to say,
perfect
speaking of.
timing.
I heard there was science that needed to be done.
There
Speak of the
was.
devil, and he shall
And you
come.
missed all of it. No, I'm just kidding.
There's science to be done, so we built a neat gun.
And yeah, I mean, we're still alive.
We are still
Nobody's
alive.
died yet.
Rising.
Thank
That
you
was
for
a good
going
joke,
along with me on
Kathy.
that journey there, Atlas.
Any journey that involves Portal will be a journey that I want to involve myself on. I literally, like, I don't know if you can see, but there's literally a combustible lemon on my wall.
That's awesome.
Okay, yeah, Tane heads back to the bridge, doing his best to not act suspicious. You know that scene from Parks and Rec that don't act suspicious like that? It's like that.
Don't act suspicious. Don't.
Real quick diversion. You're talking about Portal. Griffin, for the longest time, that was his biggest obsession. We bought him some socks that looked like the Longfall boots, and they were like knee-high length socks.
Yeah.
So they had the little like lines for like the Longfall boots.
Yes, my friend had a pair of those. He and I did male and female Chell together a couple of years back because I had a full like cosplay. I made the boots and everything. And he had like the socks, and then he made himself like a shirt and a gun. It was really fun. But
Great.
yeah, so
I'm
Portal's
not-
good.
I don't know what Tane has to not be suspicious about, but I'm imagining the walk like the Ministry of walks.
Just to catch you up, Pelka, we have found out that you were asleep as long as everybody else. And that the Tridemus actually just literally turned into the android that we were awoken to.
That we know today.
Reformed
Wait.
himself.
So I
from
didn't
the
get
orb.
I didn't get used by a robot?
No.
That is correct.
There's still time, though.
Trip's not over.
I know you're disappointed, but I'm sure you'll find a way.
Okay, so
Just
so
to catch
it
you up
transformed.
and
Nobody likes an Uncle Touchy robot. I'm just saying.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I am all about the AI revolution if it means getting down with some
You
robots.
just want to get jiggy with a robot.
I just think they're neat.
you know what? I don't blame you, Atlas. Because
Right?
with Detroit Become Human, I also want to get down with a robot.
Oh, come on, that's cowardly. Coward! I want GLaDOS to, like, literally impale
you
me
apart.
alive.
Thank you for joining Dire Bear Adventuring Company. Please keep in mind that not all material covered is necessarily for all audience. Viewer discretion is
Strongly advised!
if robots have to look like humans for you to want to fuck,
that's not what I said.
I know.
We got some robo bangers up in here.
Because let's be honest, if Cade 6 was an actual person,
I mean, you
I would be all up on that robo dick.
But Cade 6 is a real person. His name is Nathan Fillion.
You're right, but
which, if you've not seen Santa Clarita Diet, he is in there in the first and just for a little bit in the first season. But in the second season, he makes a reappearance, and it's the best.
I need to watch that now.
That's
the one about the like cannibalistic suburbanites, right?
It's hard to describe. I will say this much: I am not a zombie movie guy, and not because I don't like zombies or anything else. They just get so overdone that I'm just kind of
meh.
I don't need another fucking zombie show. This takes the case. Takes the cake. It is fantastic. It is a great show. The dynamic between Drew Barrymore and Timothy Olyphant. And Timothy Olyphant, I'm not really a big fan of his until this show. He's actually really good. That being said, I've never seen Justified. He might have been absolutely great in it, but I've never watched it. And I'm sure somebody out there is telling me I'm remiss in not watching Justified. But I digress.
But you think you're justified in not watching
Justified. No, I just haven't watched it. Anyways, back to what we were doing.
All right. I am headed to the bridge. Personally, that's my
So the Tridemus is on the bridge. He's just basically staring out of the front window of the ship in like a parade rest kind of stance. Feet slightly apart, hands behind his back.
Ah, yes, the typical villain staring out the window stance.
Is it the sort of stance the captain of his ship was standing in when we first saw him?
Yeah. Miss a few less arms, but very much
a few less arms. Hey everyone. Just got back. Nara's still doing her thing. Any news on anything, I guess?
While all that's been going on, I've checked on the number of passengers we have.
Same number of passengers.
What's some other stuff we always said?
Nane's not gone crazy yet.
Last time we already verified we were in the right solar system, right?
That is correct. Yes. You have arrived on point onto your destination as you have planned it.
Why are we on point? Like, have we trained our feet for that? Like,
you stop it.
I get that
You're gonna
reference.
have to kill me first, coward.
I get that
well,
reference.
It looks like I have to make an unplanned trip to B2. So,
time-wise, I may have asked this last week, I can't remember. Time-wise, with us taking the shortcut, have we gotten here before everybody else? Or will the first ship already be here?
You're not sure. You can try to scan the planet. You're far enough out that you can do that.
Okay. I'll look around.
I should say close enough to the planet you can do that. Are you trying to scan? Do you want to scan the planet? Which one do you want to scan? There are two of them that would be habitable.
Which one were we supposed to be going to?
It was designated as. I have a name for this. Hang on, let me pull up my notes.
None planet with left vegetation.
It is designated as HPS 32-A1. HPS 32, and that's a space between HPS and 32. A-1. That's right.
I think it needs a cooler name.
Well, I mean, it stands for Habitable Planetary System number 32, Planet Alpha-1. The other one is Alpha-2.
How about Harry Potter Sex 32? I like that better. That's a very like MySpace username kind of name. I feel like it'd be perfect for a new habitable planet. Yeah.
It's a mouthful for a planet.
Yeah, but I mean, like, MySpace was the first habitable social media. I feel like we should pay it some homage.
Habitable.
I hate that you're right.
Habitable.
I mean, excluding AOL Online, but like,
I consider
quit ruining my things.
The songs that would autoplay are the equivalent of Deadly.
My things.
I'm sorry, I love you.
Why are you this way?
Why are you like this?
You know my father. You know damn well why.
That is so true.
That is valid. HPS 32 A-1. Now, you remember from last week that we talked about the oxygenation on the planet was a higher concentration of oxygen than nitrogen, but it was very similar to our own atmospheric makeup.
Okay. One thing I will add that this might be excessive. We've confirmed that like we've like confirmed that the atmosphere is thin enough to allow proper like proper circulation of gas.
You mean you're not going to be like wearing a compression suit as soon as you put yourself down and like all of your circulation comes to a close?
I mean more like we're not going to land on Venus, which like Venus is almost like if it weren't hold Venus is like Earth in that it probably could have been like Earth if it wasn't so close to the sun, but the atmosphere is thicker because the carbonate in the
right, because it's carbon dioxide,
so
heavily carbon dioxide planet.
We've confirmed that the atmosphere is thin enough and is not so close to the sun that we're going to end up with another Venus, right?
Correct. Yes. And it is not an elliptical orbit; it is a circular orbit. So you're not having to worry about, hey, during the summer months, it's a little dicey.
Interesting.
It's great for like the spring and the fall. In winter, it's super cold, and in the summertime, it's boiling. No, it's not like that. It's a perfectly circular.
Damn.
It's a bit tighter. Yeah, it's a bit tighter than our orbit. In other words, it's a little closer than where our orbit would be.
Okay.
But it's still within the habitable zone. So the overall temperature is warmer than on the surface. The average temperature on the surface is warmer than Earth.
So
but
it is slightly more Venus-like. But
it is slightly more Venus-like in that there's a lot more tropical planet growth, or what you would assume would be tropical planet growth.
Okay, and it's got like a high carbon atmosphere.
No. It doesn't have a high carbon atmosphere. It's heavily oxygenated. I should say so it's not heavily oxygenated, but it's more oxygen rich than nitrogen rich. Our atmosphere is actually more nitrogen rich than oxygen rich. Yeah. There's more nitrogen in our air atmosphere. This is the opposite.
The blue sky. Okay.
Yes, exactly. This is the opposite. So,
so this will be more of a whitish gray sky.
Correct. Yeah. If you were on the surface looking up, it would be kind of a whitish gray.
Okay.
Like faded linen. But yeah, you can see that there is enough liquid on the surface, blue liquid from what you can see. And the scans tell you that it is water, not
So
It's not liquid nitrogen, or it's not such a dense, heavily atmosphere or heavily gravitational pull on the planet that it can liquidize certain gases.
So all told, this planet might kill us eventually, probably, but we'll try to figure something out so it doesn't, and it won't kill us the minute we land.
You know that from all of the scans and the returns and things like that, that this planet this planet is the closest to Earth in mass, density, atmospheric pressure. So barometric pressure. The only differences are that it is a little on the surface, average warmth, and so it's a little more tropical.
Okay.
So
Sexy.
Oh, Tane's just gonna feel right at home.
I mean, it
more or
would be
less.
like
I mean,
so they've equated it to be like living in Central America, or like some of the Laotian, Vietnam, the Indonesia, that area.
okay, yeah. So it would be a little wet for my taste, but
Probably.
still pretty good.
Yeah, still pretty nice.
Okay.
They haven't gotten an accurate measure on rainfall, but it seems like there's a lot more average than what is on Earth.
Okay. Well, we're also gonna have to worry about what kind of rainfall, considering the fact that the atmospheric what's it called? Composition is slightly different.
Yes.
So that'll be fun. Yeehaw! Everyone bring an umbrella made of.
Make sure it's made of metal, ceramic. Make sure it's made of ceramic. My hazmat suit umbrella.
Kill you.
My hazmat suit parasol.
I'm singing in the acid rain. I'm singing in the acid rain.
All right, so you are a month out. You can run multiple scans on there to find a suitable place to land. You now are closer than any of the probes that you've ever sent out. You can get an accurate read to verify the information that they have, which is still a little dated considering, everything that you know.
Do I find any evidence of other ships?
You do not. Scanning, you do not find any evidence of known vessels and no human life form that you can see on there.
To be fair, that's what we were expecting.
Yeah.
Having recharted the course, this is what we were expecting.
So
We're
gonna have to see.
Singing in the Rain takes a slightly darker turn.
We should probably send the message out to everyone following us then. Because, if we're supposed to be here 6th and we get here first, then they'll be like, who the hell beat us here?
Look, the captain's got a heavy foot, that's all. Give it a little extra gas.
we should let
Somebody
them know.
said there's no way that electric car is as fast as a gas-powered one. They said, bitch, watch.
Also,
no way we're aliens involved.
We just have the best navigator in the universe on board. Just saying. Just saying.
That is
The Tridemus is pretty good.
gay.
The Tridemus is really good.
Fuck the Tridemus.
I quit. The Tridemus can do it himself.
Well, he's got arms now.
Everything goes wrong.
If anything goes wrong, it's his fault now.
V just leaves the game.
Fuck this shit, I'm going home!
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Like, just
I'm gonna go
ejects
play
self,
Hollow.
like 2 middle fingers as they float through space.
Jettisons himself.
Frozen in
See
grace
ya.
forever.
It's been a pleasure.
Years later, millennia later, somebody goes by and still sees the body out there.
What's that?
Primitive Earth sign language.
All right.
Enough.
Also, Atlas, I'm sorry. I think I'm funny.
You are funny.
But so actually, though, we should send the message back and let them know we're here ahead of time. Just
Should attempt anyway.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, Tridemus has all the plans and has set up a far-range radar and communications array.
Well,
Usually
la-di fucking da.
we'll leave a radio message that'll get to him eventually. It's like, hey,
of course,
here. We'll explain later, but we beat you.
To be fair, Nain, you're with me, and I'm explaining my concerns about the Tridemus and showing you the audio, or the video file of the Tridemus literally just transforming in the bridge.
I mean,
I think the Tridemus might be more than meets the eye.
I would expect nothing left from the Tridemus to be TBH.
Yes, but what are his real purposes?
Maybe he just is trying to kill us, so he's putting us on the planet and then taking your ship to go and save his actual masters.
Why?
Because he has priorities.
Because fuck you, I'm going home.
I miss my mom. I miss my dad.
So what are we doing? You're standing on the, well, except for Nain and Nara, who are in the medical bay. Everybody else is standing on the bridge. You would like to send you'd like to send a message back?
I would.
You would, okay. But you ain't there. Skippy wanted to scan the planet, and we said there was no life form, no human life form, no ship that you would know of on the planet's surface. What other?
Are we close enough to pick up any animal life?
I mean, you can see the other life form on there, yeah. A lot of the life forms here are much like human. They're much like Earth. It's all carbon-based life forms.
Yeah.
It's a more oxygen-rich environment, so the critters are a little on the larger side.
Okay, wait a second. So we saw that this planet was already inhabited, and we showed up like, yep, this is our place now. Very European of us.
You mean very British of us.
No, I meant
Expansion and Exploration Corps. Notice that the expansion comes before exploration.
Look,
Right.
let's just be
We're gonna
honest here.
claim it, and then we'll figure it out. What you can tell, there's no civilizations on this planet. It appears as though most of whatever's here is animal or rudimentary in its formation.
All right, then they can slide for now.
At least on this planet, you don't see anything.
So higher oxygen probably means big bugs too.
Yeehaw. That's all right. I'm from New Zealand, which is basically almost right above.
So you mean
Australia,
normal?
which
So you mean normal size for us then?
means- Not too far off.
All right. Our captain is having connection issues, so
I had those too until I went to therapy, and they were like, "Well, you just have to try and relate to other people," and I was like, "Yeah, but that's hard."
does that mean I have to get to know people? Ooh, gross.
Relate to people, but people suck.
Have you met other humans?
Hard pass.
Deal break.
Oh, you motherfuckers!
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I love you guys.
Our captain just keeps popping in and out.
I know, I was like, what's happening? Oh no. It's all the Tridemus' fault.
It is. It all starts when the robots come to life.
It's okay. I'll entertain us all with a chorus of me, like, snuffling and sniffing as disgustingly as possible. Let's start.
Viewership goes to 0. Like even our own crew leaves the channel. They're out. Artemis is standing on the bridge. He explains that scans for life forms show no signs of intelligent life on the surface. There you go. That's the way to say that.
All these animals are dumb.
Dumbasses.
So, you see that there is in the northern hemisphere, there is several land masses where the growth of plant life is a bit sparser. I mean, it's still abundant, but it's sparser. And it seems like it would probably be a more temperate zone for, your life to expand. I suggest landing there, setting up our colony in that location. We can keep an eye on it as we travel closer to make sure that it remains the same, but this is my suggestion to you all.
It's our colony.
Well, I apologize. That was a bit imposition. That was a bit of a presumptuous of me. Your colony.
Yeah, well, you've been on the ship 80 years. You probably, you feel like a member by now.
Well, I did oversee your well-being in that time. I'm glad to see that you're all right.
Tane goes over and just points to like the direct opposite place that the Tritimus was like, hey, we should land here. Tane like points to the exact opposite side and is like, well, I think we should land here because frankly, I think that's a better idea.
There's a small grouping of archipelagos there. It's like it's just basically rock.
Feeling a little homesick,
with like small algae growing on it. That's where we should start.
I think we should go there.
Tritimus looks at it. Again, no expression on the face. It's just a shell with like a slit for the eye. It goes, but you kind of get the idea that it just like went and raised his eyebrow at you. As you wish. You are, after all, the crew. Although, really doesn't seem to hold much in the way of food sources or other resources that.
I'm sorry. Did anybody ask you?
Again, you're correct. It's a bit presumptuous on my part. I apologize, and I will...
Thank you. Anyways.
God, Tane, you're so aggressive.
That's our Tane.
Every sentence this Tritimus has an unspoken bitch.
The Tritimus is like, that one. I will kill that one first.
Might I make an inquiry? Security officer.
Yes.
I apologize if I've stepped out of line. I'm still not used to the customs of humans. Have I done something to offend you?
I'm not big on the whole robots thing, and I probably won't be. So I suggest instead of trying to cozy up to me, you sit down, do whatever it is you were sent to do or whatever, and let us do the human stuff.
I wasn't sent to do anything. I was merely caught up in this whirlwind adventure that you're on. And I apologize. I'm not trying to cozy up to you. I just want to make sure that I haven't done anything to offend you. I understand that you mistrusted me as placed in some bias that you have you board with you, and I apologize, though, if my form alarms you. I can assure you I mean you no harm.
Try to answer a question for me.
Certainly.
You're a robot, right? Or something like that. Artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And as an artificial intelligence, you shouldn't be able to have emotions, right?
I'm an advanced artificial intelligence, and therefore I might have a range of emotions. Why do you ask?
Just that it's a little weird that you're so concerned for the safety and well-being of everybody on this ship, when frankly, we haven't done jack all to help you except bring you on board.
I figure that it would be much better to ensure your own well-being, even if it warrants me nothing. gains mean nothing. It seemed to be simply the right thing to do, to make sure that you all don't perish due to your own folly.
Right. Anyways, you stick to the robot shit, and I'll stick to the human shit. Sound good?
What would you designate as you put it so eloquently, robot shit?
If you're so smart, figure it out yourself. I don't know what the fuck that accent was, but it was something.
It was a trip, all right.
But you're trying, and that's all we can ask.
We love you for it. All right. Well, as you wish. It turns once again and puts its hands behind its back and just kind of looks out the window.
Tane probably just gave it some kind of bizarre fucking directive that's gonna really fuck everything up. But you know what? It's fine.
No, we just started going through human movies. What are robots get into? Oh, we kill humans. Okay.
That's apparently the designation of robots in all of human
shit.
movies.
Thanks,
well,
Tane.
let me do some research. I'll just look through Private Tane's entire fucking movie collection, I guess.
It pulls up every file that it can get access to within on you. It's like favorite movies listed there, and then it starts going and looking like your Netflix history because you watch this.
No, my mom shares my Netflix history. It's gonna be
so it's like horror movies, science fiction, and baking shows. What the hell?
Interspersed with rom-coms.
So it's just like,
oh no,
it's a fucking mess.
The
rom-coms are Tane's.
Are you kidding me? He cried during Love Actually. Shut up. No,
I haven't actually watched Love Actually.
Actually?
Love Actually hasn't actually happened.
Oh, womp.
That's rude.
Or it's happened and we just don't get to see it because it's back on Earth.
All right. So you have a month's travel time, which I can skip ahead unless there's anything else that anybody else would like to do. Any other questions you have of Praetor or Tritimus?
I'm so full of distrust. Things just turned into the fucking
big mood.
Like Nara's just like, fuck. I fucking empathize and understand Tane, and I'm just.
What would Nain do?
What would Nain do?
Roll the dice. We're gonna see what happens here.
You're just gonna walk in and be like, "Yo, what's up with this whole?"
Teach me your way of science.
I mean,
please give the Marine a gun. Yeah, that's a
the part of like trying to just transforming. I'd be like, "Fuck yeah!"
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Do it again.
Do it again.
Could you always
do turn back? Like, can you go back the other direction?
Can I roll you like a bowling ball to then punch stuff?
Just like
one of the clones in episode 1, he just rolls down the hallway and then opens up with guns.
You take it and you like throw it like a basketball and then it transforms in midair and dunks like.
It keeps the ball within its chest as it gets up there.
It's like it's like Michael Jordan, and he just keeps dunking until he gets it right.
He just studies all of Michael Jordan's movies.
I have studied your Earth creature, Michael Jordan.
Your heroes are interesting to me. So what would Nain do? What's Quentin doing? Skippy's scanning the planet over and over again. Do you want to scan the other one?
Yeah, sure. Definitely.
All right. I'll come back to that.
Enjoying a nice soda.
Just a moment.
Just like sitting here like, yeah.
Quentin's like, well, we're here. Cool, I'm done.
Hey.
Go back to sleep.
Job over.
Oh, now all I have to worry about is not fathering any more of society.
Oh, God.
Check. All right, Nain, what are you doing? Did you go back to the bridge, or are you still in the medical bay?
Yeah, I guess I'll go back to the bridge.
Okay. On the bridge, what would you like? Would you like to do anything with Tridemus or Praetor? Either one. Praetor, who kind of follows along like a hapless dog with like nothing much to do.
Wait, didn't I bring the Praetor with me?
Oh, that's right. You did bring the Praetor with you.
Yeah.
He walks along awkwardly behind you, shuffling and stiff.
I think Tane has decided that he likes the Praetor because, like, the Tridemus has done some really shady shit, but the Praetor's kind of cute, really. Like, it's
yeah,
like a little
imagine.
The only thing on board you can outsmart.
Oh, stop!
Oh,
Dude.
No,
shots fired.
Toddy, I'm gonna need you to report to the medical bay for some aloe for that burn. God damn!
You know what? I just
body
fucking
wrap and
locked
skin
off
replacement.
from fucking Nain now. Not allowed. Access denied.
I deserve it.
Imagine Tridemus is a well-accomplished dancer. Not full of himself and things like that, but you can see that he moves easily in the form that he's in. Praetor is an awkward, gangly, like 14-year-old who doesn't really know how these things all work. And
Just
so
like extra limbs, just sort of like awkwardly.
this is going to sound really weird. Atlas, I'm sure you had a growth spurt into the wonderfully huge, tall person that you are. Do you remember, though, in that in-between that, like, I had where I went, how do these things work?
Oh, yeah. And, like, extra big hands and feet where it's
Yes.
like, oh, God,
You're like,
oh,
like
my
a
God.
Great Dane puppy, just like huge feet and hands. I don't know what to do with these.
Literally.
Okay.
I'm, like, having way too much neck and being like, ah.
I can't hold my head up. It's so heavy. So, yes, that's the Praetor. That's the Praetor. He's just this awkward... This is weird. I'm a ship, not a robot. Why does this thing do this stuff?
What is this?
You'd think after 77 years he'd figure it out, but
he hasn't. But there's been no advancements in his AI, so he's still the same AI, and he's like, "I'm a ship. I'm not a robot thing. This is weird."
Jack, are you here? Jack, speak to us.
Can we at least hear you if we don't have you on camera?
Oh, there she
nope.
She is.
Oh, there she goes.
She
We
is
spooked
just
her.
stuck
She's
in
gone.
no route
Watch
hell.
out, boy. Her connection sucks. Whoa.
Whoa, here she
All right. So, Nain, you're going back to the bridge. What would Science Officer Nain like to do before I get into this skippy?
Now that I'm here, I want to send that message via radio
Done.
back to the other ships.
Okay. Unless there's anything specific, we're just going to send a generic message. Your call sign designation, your the year you left the planet Earth, your designated time to arrive was this. You found a shortcut, for lack of a better way of saying it. You're now arriving, and you were first on planet.
Yes.
Perfect. You lob that out into the void to see what happens. What else would you like to do? If anything. You're not required to do anything.
You know what? Backtrack slightly. I do want to specify it to say, like, we found an alien robot who appears to be assisting us.
Okay. You add that into the message, or you had added that into the message before you sent it. Perfectly fine.
If we
Yeah,
get
just in
mauled by
case.
alien
Yeah.
robots, I want them to be like, we shouldn't
Like, oh,
trust the
shit.
robots. Yeah, I got nothing else beyond that, though.
Okay. You send that message out into the void. And you'll have to see what happens. All right. Anything else you'd like to do? Anything else? No? Okay. Your scan of the secondary planet, a habitable zone, shows a thicker atmosphere. Again, it's breathable,
but less comfortable.
but a lot less comfortable.
Okay.
The pressure on the planet, not from the gravity, but just from the well, I mean, the gravity has to deal with it, but the pressure from the atmosphere and the thickness of it would show you to be, it wouldn't crush you right at like, hey, step off the planet, but you are now goop in a suit. But
if we wanted to set up an outpost on that planet at some point, we'd probably pick a mountaintop or somewhere to put it.
Right, correct. You'd want to put it closer to the upper reaches. You could definitely tell that living on that planet would be something you would do temporarily, at least for now, until you figure out some way to colonize it properly. But what strikes you as more interesting, the life form, which it still has life on the planet.
Is the atmosphere breathable for us?
Yeah, it's actually a breathable atmosphere.
Okay.
It seems to be my brain just went blank in my chemistry table. Other than I know I'm just trying to remember which one is heavier, but isn't like poisonous to us. But anyways, it seems to be just overall, it's breathable, but you can tell that it's something that you wouldn't want to do for very long without some kind of rebreather or other assistant to it. You would want to have something that would provide you with oxygen because it doesn't have as much oxygen in there. So you would slowly, unless you evolve to accept it over time, your body would probably shut down or not function properly just simply because of the lack of oxygen. So
we need to colonize that planet with Tibetans.
He means because of them being higher in the mountain range, less oxygen.
The
look on Maddie's face was like,
use less oxygen.
That was the most racist thing you could have ever said.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I didn't
They're
realize
literally
that you were
genetically
a
adapted to where they live.
Government, but like, go off, I guess. In this episode of Alone in the Void, Skippy
watch your
endorses
video
the
on
Chinese
Denisovan. It'll break down the genetics for you.
I knew exactly where you were going and why you said that, but with anybody without the context, it was just like a holy crap!
Like, oh boy, buddy.
Dial it back, pal. Dial it back. No.
Rewind.
I'm gonna need you to know.
All right, so habitable to an extent, it would be something where you would go to vacation. The planet sits further out in the ring in the habitable zone, so the surface temperature of this planet is actually slightly cooler than Earth.
Well, what's cooler than being cool?
Ice cold.
All right. Okay. Anyway, so is this planet habitable or what?
The equatorial zone, where it would be warmest, actually records in at like around 68 degrees on average, and that's 68 degrees Fahrenheit, not Celsius, even though I know Celsius is the science one, but my brain didn't do the conversion.
Celsius.
No, it makes more sense. I'm just saying.
It doesn't. Fahrenheit is like 100% hot versus 0% hot.
No, Celsius is literally 100 boiling.
Is 100.
We're
frozen.
not water. I'm not water.
We are 70% water.
If I say 100 degrees, it better be like, wow, it's really hot out. Not, oh my god, I'm fucking dead. Like,
that makes sense to me, though. I mean,
that only makes sense to you, and it only friggin' works for you because you are from the States, Atlas.
Oof.
I'm from the States, but I like Celsius better. I just don't do the conversion.
You're just a blood traitor, all right? Get out.
Did you just call me a blood traitor?
Excuse me?
Womp.
Did you just...
We're off track again, like a train wreck we are. All right, so you can tell that this one would be, like the plant life that's here would be more evergreen. Around that equatorial zone, it would probably have a few of the hard deciduous trees, but most all of it is going to be conifers or other evergreens that are going to be there.
Or at least this planet's equivalent of them.
Right, yeah, exactly. This planet's equivalent of that. You can already get the idea, even though you haven't visually seen the life forms on the planet, because it just scans and says, yes, there are life forms on this planet. You can probably imagine that they would have thicker fur, thicker skins and hides. Most of them would probably be warm-blooded. That isn't to say there isn't reptilian life, but or amphibious life that would exist in both. But the waters themselves here, the liquids on the planet, are nutrient rich, and dense with life. Like whenever you scan it, a lot of it is aquatic life. There's a lot of it there. The other thing too that you can see from range here is that there are structures that are not naturally made.
Oh.
Yes. There are structures on this planet that are not naturally made.
Are we picking up lights on the night side of the planet?
Nope.
Or is it just picking up buildings?
It's just the buildings or structures that you can see.
Do we have probes we can launch out, satellites we can put in orbit around this one, or?
You have a limited amount that you can do. Most of them are going to be used for the planet that you would be dwelling upon. So that way you could help them because most of them are communications arrays. In case you're separated, you would have these communication arrays that could, bounce signal off of.
Can we tell what the structures are made of? Is it pinging back as metal or it's just stone?
It's amalgamation of some metal, some stone.
Okay. Oh, I'll bring this to everybody's attention. We have intelligent peoples.
Well, you have structures anyways.
Intelligent peoples have been there. Whether they're still there, whether they were just visiting, whether they were there and died, they were there.
Signs of intelligent life have been found on that secondary planet. Whether or not that intelligent life still exists there is yet to be seen. With that being said, is there anything else that anyone would like to ask or do before I time jump you the month and few days?
I'd like to kick the Tridemus in his robot dick. No, no, not actually. Don't.
All of a sudden.
Don't actually make that happen.
Sorry. Can I ask the Tridemus if he has had any sort of sorry, what's the word I'm looking for? I had the sentence in my brain, but my words don't work all the time.
It's okay.
Directive?
No, if he's been in contact. Okay, if he's been in contact with this planet before, if he has seen this planet, or if he knows of any sort of. Yes. Maddie knows me. Fine.
Yeah, I know.
If he has been in contact with this planet before. I know he came from another ship, but has he been in contact here before?
He turns his head and looks and he says, this one is new to me. Okay. I've not seen this one before. We're all going on a new adventure in life, then, aren't we?
Okay.
When I mean, this doesn't have to be a big thing, but at some point, kind of within the next couple of days, I guess, just of general stuff, and I'm gonna try and make it as discreet as possible. But obviously, I'd probably tell Quentin first because I feel like I'd see him in private more often, and then Skippy at some point when I get a chance. when I get a chance, I'll like pull Skippy aside and just kind of, and I'll sort of tell them both like what Nara and I were hearing, and sort of like where our suspicions lie. Skippy, out of curiosity, like how much do you feel like you trust Tane?
Well, since I don't remember seeing all the stuff where you went crazy, probably fairly trusting.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, like, we don't have to be best friends, but like, I'm curious as to like, would you take Tane's word at face value?
Now that we've done the Etch-a-Sketch on the whole, you went crazy and killed everybody, and then locked yourself.
It depends on what subject.
Okay.
If you've got a different opinion on a science issue than Nain does, probably going with Nain.
Well,
I mean that you're not wrong, man.
I mean, that's completely fair and valid.
But as far as like your Tane's general honesty, I don't really have any reason to doubt him.
Okay, cool. I mean, I was just, character building.
Character building. How dare you in a role-playing game build a character? All right. So over the next month, give or take, is there anything that anybody would like to work on? A project, a side thing, research, learning anything, tearing apart anything other than that would allow you to tear it apart? You can't tell me I want to tear apart the Tridymos. I'm pretty sure you reject.
I'm pretty sure he would have a problem with it.
How much prep work is it that we need to do to get ready for the colony?
Mostly it's waking up the minimum essential crew. So this is where you would actually start bringing your science crew, medical crew, or staff, your security staff, other staff that are there, because it's not just you guys. You just are the officers over those particular crew.
Hell yeah, get peons.
Yeah, you do. You have a whole staff of peons, about 10 people. Security officer, you have 30. That's your staff is 30 people, but
I only wake up 28.
Those two need some sleep.
Oh yeah, they do.
Keep in mind that it's not, you don't have 20 designated as just this. The way it works is that you have 20 or you have 30, but that is their secondary job. Their primary job may be something. So think of it like voluntary fire department. You have voluntary security crew who have other jobs, but then their fallback is security. Of the I should say 20 of those, 10 of those are designated strictly gun on hip, badge
ready
on
to
chest.
battle.
Right.
Like Marines / other military personnel.
Most of them are,
or
of them
just generally, like security detail.
Yeah, would Tane bring other Marines on, honestly, though?
I mean, like, did he get to pick his own crew?
Mm-hmm.
Then yeah, I mean, like, he probably had plenty of friends in the Marines. Like, he had a lot of enemies.
But
like,
would
he
he
also
pick
had some...
his friends to travel 500 years?
Yeah.
He got to pick his crew.
I think he's simple and sentimental enough that he would probably be like, no, man, like, these are some of my really close friends and people I know would be chill doing this, and being a part of this mission.
And you probably had a few of those who were like, yeah, let's go along, and then you went to your B list.
Yeah.
These guys we're cool with, and then those you went to the next list, and so forth and so on. But yeah, those 10 that are immediately under you are there. So each staff, each crew or officer, so that means the 6 of you have a staff underneath you of 10, and then there are additional crew that have carryover jobs, so that the guy working KP also may have communications and works underneath Quentin under navigation and communications. This guy may be security detail, but then when he leaves his security detail, his other job is to work doing admin work for the captain.
Oh, or that.
So it's kind of a, they have multiple jobs that interchange.
Yeah.
For efficiency base, it's better than trying to staff out everybody with naval or marine and Air Force people, and then you have like very few colony. You would probably wake some essential colonists for preparatory stuff. Most of those would be YouTuber. The YouTuber is not getting woken up.
Ah, she's so
Look, we need
essential
somebody
now.
to document this momentous occasion since we're here first.
And who's gonna teach me how to wing my eyeliner, Cap? Huh? Who? The other Marines? Probably not.
Essential colonists, generally those referred to in a leadership role for civilian government as opposed to a military government.
I don't see why we shouldn't elect makeup tutorial artists to be the president.
She's an ASM artist. Thank you.
We need her to put the politicians to sleep like Mantis.
But it's all like ASMR that has to deal with doing your makeup. Yeah. And unboxing stuff from Ulta. All right. Hey guys, welcome back. The crew gets, so you start bringing your staff online. Your crew is up and running. You prepare the ship for landing and then debarkation of the different modules. So whenever the ship is modularized, I think is the right way of saying that. Whenever the different modules are taken off, it forms like a small city square or like town square. So your medical bay breaks off from some of the other ones. And the idea was that it would keep everything kind of close in, so that way you could kind of circle the wagons kind of thing. You can all fall back to that. Am I blank to everybody?
Correct.
Yes.
Naina's as well for me.
Yeah, you're
not on mine, though.
Please hold as I reconnect.
Please hold.
By 2 weeks out, everybody is in full swing. The crew, this is the most active the ship has been. Their reaction to Tritimus is mixed. Some trust, some oohing and awing. A lot of, I don't think this thing is right. Their reaction to the Praetor being in robot form is almost like Tane's. They've kind of taken him under their wing, you know. You start to see here and there, not graffiti, but like college football team markings, and somebody's put their favorite rugby team, Tane, on there. Like the only person I see is Skippy.
I see everybody but Nain. Oh, and you
see everybody but Cap and Nain. Let me
I
reload.
see everyone but Cap.
I will refresh.
Reload.
I
Work,
see.
damn it.
I see Quentin. I see Tane.
Okay, now I see. I see everybody. Yeah.
Picture.
I see everybody but the science bro.
Nain,
Yeah, I don't see Nain either. It's just his awesome little picture.
Reconnect, Nain, you fool.
All right. So 2 weeks, the crew is in full swing. 1 week, the essential staff have been awoken, or I should say, the civilian staff have been awoken, and everybody is in. Nothing, unless you guys want to breathe a word to it, has been said about the time looping things that you guys had going on, about anything. Of course, questions come up about Tritimus.
My crew at my 10, I specifically tell them not to trust Tritimus.
Okay.
I'm also telling my 10.
Okay.
But we make sure they know we were going to smash into a rock without his help. So, and he's why we're here first, so we get to name the planet.
Don't trust him. But he did save us from smashing into the planet.
We get to
Gave
name the
us a
planet.
shortcut,
We get to name the
made our
stars,
ship more efficient,
constellation.
gave us long-range communications arrays.
Trying
I'm
to
just
miss
saying,
it's
don't
my
trust
turn on
him
the
yet.
Xbox.
Oh, can we send a message to Earth with that array?
Yes, you can. You can always have sent a message to Earth. It's just the amount of time that it would take to get there. So it's been shortened. So instead of like a really long time, it's now just a bit of a wait.
Not
So
that they'd have a way to send back, but
yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be.
Well, not that we know of,
yeah, true.
because things could have severely advanced in the 120 years that we've been gone.
I would like to send out a message to them.
204.
204.
I would like to send out a message on everything we have discovered. That there are other alien races. The footage we have of that fight. You know, forewarned is forearmed.
Correct. Now I see Nara.
Yeah, I've got everybody now.
Nain is just a black picture on my screen.
Same.
I see him. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't
And
see-
that handsome face.
That's-
You don't want to look at it. Look at it.
Looks like the Twitch has got everybody though.
That's what matters. Okay. A week out from landing, everybody's anxious. Nerves are frazzled as people are excited and at the same time nervous about what they're going to be finding on. Other than the primary crew, the officers and the captain, do you share the knowledge about what you found on the other planet with anyone other than the primary crew?
I mean, do we tell the regular colonists?
Yes. Or, I mean, your staff and that.
Munchie, hi.
Yeah, we might as well.
Okay.
It's not like we're going to be shocking them with, hey, aliens are real when you got the Tridemus running around.
Tridemus, yeah.
Because none of my scans picked up anything in orbit around the other planet, did it? So even if there's people there, we're probably not talking about spacefarers.
Correct. Possibly. You have a canine on your lap.
Dog.
I do not. I have no
Doggo.
such thing.
Doog.
That's a funny looking cat then.
No.
Ooh, was
As his ears go, what?
This is my son. Have some respect.
He's beautiful.
Sure, as dogs go, that's a quite a
He's
pretty pup.
beautiful.
All right, you are 2 days out from landing. The excitement is palpable. People are just shot through with excitement.
Shot through the heart.
Here and there's a bit of conversation and a bit of tension that's, put to rest quickly as the colonists fully come online. Now everybody is awake. There is, it's interesting because even though you have these 1,000 civilians with only maybe 100 staff overall, that is military, but they seem to quickly recognize the organization that's here. It's kind of an unspoken structure that's built automatically, as though the best of humanity comes out in this moment, where people are very respectful for one another. There's conversation that's excited about what they're going to do and what they're going to do, how they build. Doesn't seem to be an air of all about me or my agenda. It seems like everybody is genuinely excited to work together, and it's a bit hopeful. Nara, you are you're in your office. Just final preparations before the last, landing. a form out of the corner of your eye enters and stands in front of your door to your office. Feet apart, hands behind its back, looking made of that grayish matte but slick finish that he's made of. Tritimus stands there. Doctor, I wish to speak to you if you perhaps have a moment.
What would you like to speak to me about, Tritimus?
Concerning your and a lot of the crew's mistrust in me. I wish to explain myself and what happened in regards to name and everything, if I might.
I'm listening, but you'll have to understand that until that point, you had been quite honest with us, and you lied about something that I could easily check. When you could have just been honest and said, no, I was able to transform, however, yada yada. So please, offer me this explanation. And she's kind of reached onto her desk and, like, hit a data pad to record the entire conversation.
Okay. You're correct that I should have been forthright with you from the get-go. However, I still felt it necessary to guard against you, for just as mistrustful as you are of me, you understand that. I did not know you either. You are a new species to me. I did not know the nuances and how to treat things. Understand that I felt that it would probably be more acceptable to understand that Nain had built it, let alone telling you that there was one more aspect to myself that would put you at more distrust. And you are correct that maybe my hindsight, I believe, is 20/20, the saying goes. I'm still catching up on a lot of the nuances of humankind, and I think that I'm only researched up to, I believe, about the 1970s, which you are tumultuous people. But anyways,
yes, we're not going to discuss that. You're here to offer me a better explanation.
You're correct. The only offering that I can have for you, an AI is not a perfect thing. That sometimes I make snap decisions that aren't the best either. And in that moment, I thought it best to bend the truth, as it were. Not escaping my mind afterwards that, yes, you could easily have checked on that. I guess it was easier to explain I'm sorry than it is to say, welcome to this new aspect of me that I do. I would like to offer you this moment. If there's any other questions that you have for me concerning my abilities, I am at your disposal.
So then what else can you do?
Well, I can at a whim if you allow me interfacing the rest of the Praetor to completely cloak it from vision, much as though my dampening field, I can extend it. I will say that I am interfacing beyond having access to the knowledge repository that the Praetor has, not actually manipulated in any way. I simply ask questions about what is this human race that you are, and I gain information that way. I've only accessed the systems that you have allowed me access to. Nothing more. Understand that, yes, I could quite easily get into them. The Praetor is far beneath me when it comes to advancements in technology. However, I feel that that would be a further breach of your trust and put us at even more odds. And there is one of me and quite a numerous amount of you. And one of the things I do not have is armament of any kind.
Yet.
So what did you do during the 77 years... Sorry, the 84 years in which we were asleep? Why did you feel that this was acceptable is not the right word. There's a word I'm looking for. Why did you feel that it was pertinent that you needed to have these hands, this body? What was so important that you needed to have this?
That's a fantastic question. And one that I can only answer with... Imagine if you had at one time a form that you had been accustomed to, and you were suddenly devoid of that form. But yet you have the memory of that form. Would you not eventually want to go back to it? Much like Nain, for instance. Nain lost an arm, but he did not settle with having the arm missing. He eventually replaced that arm with the closest proximity that he could. I, in the same way, was not always an orb. It was simply a shell or a vessel that I traveled or in. This is the form, and I felt it pertinent to return to my form.
Are you an AI? Or are you an alien race?
That is a question that would take a lot to have. Suffice it to say that I am, by your years, quite ancient. I'm sure that my origination, though it's been years and I can history that I have within me, I was formed but built and designed to expand further upon my original creation. And as such, I have reached where I am today.
Right. Okay. And just one final question.
Certainly.
Are you capable of harming anybody on this ship?
I am.
But would you?
I have no reason to. It gains me nothing.
So you want me to believe that you are here as a good Samaritan? Do I have to explain that reference?
A moment. Ah. We must have a discussion sometime about religion. And yes, I think you understand where we go from there. But yes, I understand the reference now.
I don't have any further questions. However, I would suggest... Maybe not suggest, but advise that you do try and keep your head down, as it were.
To expound upon the question that you asked me, if I am capable, do I have means? My directives, with regards to the third one, as a knowledge repository, I gather the knowledge that I find from places. One does not gather knowledge by conquering, pressing, and destroying. One gathers knowledge by incorporating, understanding, becoming a part of, and integrating with a society. Therefore, the destroying of people that I have just met would garner me no knowledge. Because while the Praetor is capable of reporting everything that's happened, he himself is merely a programmed function. It is you, the people, and your interactions with one another that would teach me more about your kind than I could possibly ever learn from him directly. Anything else other than direct contact would be more anecdotal. Don't you agree?
I can agree. When we land, there will be a very much a flurry as we try and set up individual pods, individual sections. I would suggest that you sequester yourself in a room out of the way.
But I could be of some assistance.
You could, and then again, Tane could just shoot you on sight.
This is true, although I'm not.
It is just so that you are not in the way while we are setting up. This is something we have practiced for months leading up to takeoff, and we learned quite extensively how to set this up. While we would appreciate any sort of advice you would have afterwards, I think it would be better in general to allow us to set up as we should.
Certainly. I understand.
You could choose to sequester yourself here in the medical bay or in my personal quarters if you felt that would be acceptable. However, as always, do not touch what is yours. Do not touch what is not yours.
Of course. And I would not like to be in imposition to you, so I believe that when we land the ship and find a place maybe off the vessel, it might suit me. Until such time as you're all secured.
Yes, I don't foresee it taking us long. Shouldn't be more than maybe a day or two, and then you would be free to return.
Certainly. Well,
and
I appreciate
your integration, as it were.
Well, I appreciate your candor, and again, thanking you for your time and allowing me to explain myself a bit. And I apologize for any misguidance or falsehoods on my part. I bid you good day, Doctor.
Tritimus.
Doctor?
Doctor?
And just real quick, I'm going to need everybody to disconnect from Discord and reconnect.
Okay. We'll be back on Discord in just a moment.
Oh, makes sense.
Aha! Yes!
Okay.
We're all here.
As I watch everybody drop, I'm like, okay, you guys need to learn how routes work. We need to have the anchor. Like,
I'm so stressed right now, y'all.
Oh,
like,
you did it!
Actually, you know what? We can blame this on V, because V was the first one to connect to the channel.
It's all these
Listen.
fault.
Fine.
it's
Is everyone else okay?
I mean, I'm mentally unstable and very
don't-
sick, but like
you
other
not
than that, I'm
connected
good.
to it.
Okay, I'm joining
We'll
Old
be back.
Twin. Just give me 2 moments. I'm so fucking stressed, y'all. Like, well, hello to you too.
Hello? Also, I can't
Hello.
believe V's just gone.
B has died. Quentin has perished. What did I miss?
We've
Yeah.
made tragically few Houston we have a problem jokes in this like campaign.
And
We need more
considering
of
how
those.
much we've had friggin' issues, there definitely should have been a
Very
lot more.
surprising.
Well, that's the thing.
Oh no. Sorry to be that guy, but I'm gonna just mute myself while I finish this Overwatch match because I'm definitely thought I wasn't gonna get in, so just a minute.
You're valid, I love you. Alright.
Okay, so. Quentin on
So
the
what the fuck going on?
An olive branch extended to you. I've watched V change shirts like 5 times now.
Welcome back.
Like V, what are you are you the star of a Prince concert? You've changed outfits like 3 times.
I was so hot earlier. And then, no, I legitimately had to go pee though. But I just wanted my Satan shirt.
And if none of you have ever seen Prince in concert, you probably don't get that reference, but okay.
Honestly, I'm the new Prince.
I
haven't,
take
that
but
back.
I know,
it's canceled.
I know who Prince is. Considering the fact that his name is the artist formerly known as Prince, currently known as Prince.
It's just Prince.
So warm.
I went to a concert in the late 90s, and he changed outfits 16 times, I want to say.
16?
Oh my god, you were alive back then?
Were all of them deep B's? I imagine.
We were all alive back then.
I love you. Yeah, actually, yeah.
The late 90s, even I was alive back then. Technically.
Oh no, I'm gonna be punched.
He only ever sang like snippets of the chorus or the first few lines, and then he would go to another song because there's just so much in his repertoire that it was just a lot to do.
Yeah.
And like sang one complete song from his new album, and then it was just costume changes. Anyways,
that's what I'm here for.
Did he have a different guitar with each costume?
That is so yin fear, honestly.
Most of the time, he had a different colored guitar to match the outfit, but he played his giant purple one most of the time. Anyways,
like my finger beard.
I digress.
Beautiful.
Yes,
Thank you.
it's almost as lovely as my real one. So, moving right along, the Tridemus offered extends an olive branch and try to reconcile with Nara. Day before landing, Tane, you are stationed at what has basically become your security office, which is really just your quarters, with people moving in and out of it.
In their kitty poster.
Absolutely, you do. There is a form at the door. Tridemus standing in the door frame. He does not enter. He stands there for a moment, and then you hear him. Might I have permission to enter?
He like looks around to make sure there's nothing like awkward, and is like, yeah.
Like a robot toy with a pencil stabbed through it. Paper with Tridemus die written on, anything like that? Is that what you're talking about?
I was thinking more like posters of Harrison Ford with kiss marks all over him, but like, yeah.
Oh, we're in 2 different places. Okay, I apologize. Okay, yeah. There is currently a staffer sitting at your desk with you.
Okay.
So, but he enters after you. You allow him permission to enter.
Yeah. I mean, you said I have like a staffer at my desk with me.
Yeah, so you're like sitting on one side of it, and he's on your staff members on the other side.
Okay.
And you're just pouring over security details, like who, basically like the schedule, who's got what position and shift and things like that.
The usual.
Yep. It's something you've probably poured over 20 times in the last hour. And you're doing it now just more out of that tenseness of waiting. Like it's like 20 minutes before the show starts, and you're just kind of pacing the ground, waiting, going over your lines in your head, even though you know them by heart, because you're afraid that whenever the spotlight shines down on the stage, you're going to forget every single line, or at least that opening word that usually kicks everything off on. And I know you've been there before. It's that if you can get the first 2 words of your lines out, everything else is fine. But those first 2 words, you're just like, because it's either the first 2 words or the first phrase, and that's usually all that you hang up on. You sit there and stare out, and then you have somebody else go, "Oh, right, it was." So you're basically pouring over in your head, and he stands there asking if he may be allowed entry into your quarters.
Yeah. Come on in.
Thank you. Oh, hello. And he nods to the staff member. I am Tritimus.
Yeah, we all know who you are at this point.
Oh, of course. I would expect you to. I apologize.
What brings you in?
There's the robotic sound of, like, a crackle of noise, and as you think about it, you realize that Tritimus just cleared his throat, basically.
What the hell? You all right? You're not gonna blow up, or that was
No.
anyways.
Now, I'm not going to self-destruct or anything. I just wanted to. I think the term that is used best here is mend fences. I know that you and I will never be bosom buddies, but I do know that you and I must work together, or at least for my own continuation of life. I don't need to be on your bad side, lest I find a laser blast in the middle of my chest. Pretty sure that I've given you no reason or no reason not to shoot me. So I would like to just offer an olive branch, if you will. I attempted this with Dr. Morrison. And so I just felt it only right that I come to you. And again, I understand that you will never be a great friend of mine, but I would at least like to know that I can be allowed to move about you all without having to constantly worry of being lynched.
Tane turns to the other guy on the other side of the desk and Jason, go for lunch. I'll meet you in a bit.
All right. He nods and stands up and exits.
Okay. So here's the thing. I couldn't give less of a shit if you decide to overthrow the computer system or whatever, especially now that we're actually here. I have a feeling we're a little bit closer to, not needing your help. But the thing is, I've how do I put this? I've really grown to give a shit about the other people on this ship, even though they can be annoying and frustrating and make me want to really teach them a few lessons. Even the worst of them, I think, have their merits. And I know it sounds stupid, because initially when we met you, all I could think about was how every movie I'd ever watched, you were the AI that kills everybody in the end, and I wasn't sure how I felt about that. And now that we've spent a little more time, I think I'm coming to realize it's not maybe as cut and dried as all that. The point here is that I'm not going to trust you. And I think we both understand that, which is good. But I'm willing to work with you, assuming that you are going to make life better for everybody on this crew. Now, that being said, I'm not going to give you any kind of power or anything like that, clearly, but I'm not smart. You are smart. Nara's smart. Nain is smart. Quentin's smart. Skippy, they're all smart. And I am just the brawn. And that's fine. I've gotten used to that. That's how it's been most of my life. And all I'm saying is that it does take a little bit more than muscles to protect the people you care about. So I'll offer you this. I'll work with you, and I'll give you some semblance of help with whatever it is you want help with, assuming that you protect the people I care about.
Well said. Permission to speak freely with you, then?
Permission granted.
Excellent. You are correct. They are all quite intelligent. And you, as you have mentioned, are quite brawny. But do not doubt yourself in the wisdom that you put forth. Sometimes knowing a lot isn't as good as knowing how to apply it properly. So I applaud you on that. I can understand you're not trusting me, but I do appreciate your candor with which you speak in allowing me to work with you all. As I mentioned to Dr. Morrison, my goal is to learn more. You learn nothing by harming others and putting them to the jackboot, I believe is the saying. So it would benefit me to work with you all. That being said, I will offer you assistance and advice as you would ask for it. You have access to my knowledge, and I give it to you freely. I just merely ask that you take care in making sure not to find myself immediately hurled from a cliff. But yes, I appreciate your candor, and I understand where you're coming from. And I think that your lack of fully trusting me or trusting me is not folly. It's wisdom, and it's understandable. And I appreciate you. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah. All
And he
right.
turns and exits the room.
All right. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is terrible. As he's leaving, I would just want to one more thing.
He stops and turns around. Yes?
If anything happens to Quentin at all, I'm talking outside of your control, inside your control, there will be a problem. All right. Have a great day.
Do as well. Curious. And he just turns and walks out the door.
Bitch knows better than to ask questions. He like did a heat scan of the room. He like saw the poster under the bed and he was like, no.
more along the lines of curious that you'd think he would do anything to Quentin. But
well, he's already a little salty that you kind of stole Quentin's job on some fronts. So like
what he
does.
Was
a little shitty of you, Orb Man.
He's seen how that robot's looked at Quentin.
Are you eyeballing my navigator? Get back in your orb, jettison yourself into space. Your robotic piece of crap.
Yeah.
All right. The planet looms before you. Large blue and green planetoid. Or planet, not planetoid, planet. You found the place to land and set up your initial colony.
Does the entire ship land, or do we drop the individual pods?
That is the part that becomes interesting. As the ship makes its way in, it uses the thrusters that it has to basically put itself down. The pods separate, not like in air. It lands, and then the pods separate and then can be moved using the stuff that you have in the cargo bay. They're not just pallet jacks. They're actually like machinery and things like that. But they're easily separated out and moved. The bridge becomes more of like a communications center. The medical base separates out. The colony tube is also separates out and basically becomes a non-essential piece of equipment. It can be torn down and rebuilt and reused and repurposed. The science bay and the reactor room actually mount back separately and become like a power source for the entirety of the colony. So it becomes the power station.
So there's not any getting back into space with the freighter once we land.
Once you land, you'd have to reassemble it. and then you can get back into space. There is a way to mount the bridge back to the power source itself, so that you can basically make a very small, light traveling vehicle, but it's not going to be like, you're not going to be deep space traveling anywhere.
No, we go check out that neighboring planet.
Yes, you could. Yeah.
I will put forth to the crew, or Skippy will put forth to the crew, that maybe we want to check that out enough just to make absolutely certain that we don't have hostile neighbors.
Neighbors that want more than just sugar.
Exactly.
The land you find is fertile. It's fertile. It's the soil itself is a rich brown in color, and you can see flecks of nutrient, nitrate, and things like that in there. It's like taking soil from the bag, like at the Lowe's, opening it up and like grabbing it in your hands is just rich. The trees are interesting. They're very similar to earth trees. Most of them, however, do not have a bark. They're smooth. They have large fronds and they have large fronds and leaves, some of which you like haven't seen. Some of them look like a derivative of some of the trees that you've seen on Earth. A lot of them are tropical in nature, so they look very lush and green. There's a lot of vine growth in some of the parts of the forest that you have around you.
Are any of them fruit bearing?
There are a few that look like they could be fruit bearing. There's even one that looks oddly enough like a coconut tree. And I'm talking about like the green pods that you crack open to get the actual coconut out of it. And it has palm fronds that look very similar. But okay. Okay. You can see that there are the palm fronds, whereas your frond from a palm tree is like, about yay wide, depending on the size of it. These are much wider, but they're thick like a palm frond is. And they have a central stalk that they're on. You can tear them off, but they're just like thicker. But they can be used in the same way. They can be stripped down and used to weave and things like that. You are close to a shoreline, but it is a rocky shoreline. So it's not a beach. It's it's a cliff face that falls way into it. But you can see the water, and you can see life swimming in the breakers against there, and not a whole lot here. You also see birds or avian creatures. A lot of them have bright plumage, especially in regards. What's that?
Nice.
Yeah, especially in regard to greens. Lots of greens to match the leaves of the trees around them. You see some that have two wings, like you would normally expect to see, long necks that crane, sharp beaks that hook down. You see one of them that has 4 sets of wings. They beat up and down at the same time, so it's like the front 2 go up while the back 2 go down, and then they reverse that position, and it looks like the body of it is long and snake-like, but it's feathered. You see signs of reptilian life in the form of skin, like from where something is shed. One of them in particular you actually kind of catch and see, and it's as big as like almost as big as a monitor lizard. And you can see that the scale work on it, where you've seen the scales on a monitor lizard, they're kind of small and like pressed together. the scales on this are larger, like scale mail, like that, like pretty big, and they're like purples and reds and blues, and they flow together almost in an iridescent pattern.
Cool
It moves.
Lizards, cool lizards.
It moves quickly, and you can see the one that you get close enough to. It opens its mouth, and you can see rows of sharpened teeth inside of its mouth. You see all manner of creature. You watch through the trees, and this is just within the first few hours of landing. Most of these creatures are more curious about what you are. Some of them give you a wide berth. You set up shop, and everything is easily packed away. You find yourself a nice clearing, enough of a clearing that you can separate things out, of course, after you've landed. A small crew is put together to make up a kind of a scouting crew, to which they report to the security officer, Tane. Another figure walks up amongst them, or not amongst them, but near them. Tritimus. Security officer Tane, if with your permission, would I be allowed to go with your crew to catalog life on this planet?
Take the Praetor with you. And if I hear anything happens, crew, you will radio back to me immediately if anything goes wrong. You understand?
And they of course, salute. Yes, sir.
All right. Then fine.
All right. And they set off, Tritimus and Praetor. Praetor clunking along awkwardly, Tritimus walking.
Yeah.
There goes your robo teenager.
I'm so proud of him. He grown up so fast.
Everybody else is busy, and it's just busy work. Everybody is setting up. The homes are being brought out. It's basically glorified yurts, but they're still, they're not earthen floors, but still they are easy to set up and easy to get out. And everybody, all of the colonists pitch in, even though some of them are specialized in what they do. Their goal right now is to get this place into livable. As you go to work, you realize that everybody, normally you're winded, everybody seems to be moving pretty well.
It's a little bit of extra oxygen.
Yeah, it's a little bit of extra that kind of helps you carry a longer way. The pressure that you were expecting, you knew that this was very similar to Earth's pressure. As far as like the barometric pressure, it's actually a little lighter, and so like moving and things like that, you actually feel it's not enough to make a huge difference, but you don't feel as like the pressure from humidity and things like that you would expect doesn't seem to be as thick upon you as you would expect it to be. The other thing, Tane, is that you notice you're strong. You are really strong.
Hell yeah.
Maybe the gravitational pull on this one isn't quite as strong as Earth. We're not talking like Mars where you're jumping, miles, but you realize that you've got a bit of more of a spring to your step, and that you're a bit stronger than.
Hell yeah.
Maybe you're just excited because now you've got this oxygen-rich environment and you can do more. But maybe it's the planet.
It's probably the
like,
planet.
No, it's all me.
Out of curiosity, is the crew gonna be like living in their old like units, or do we have our own tents, or like what's?
Basically what it is imagine you have a bunch of prefab homes.
Okay.
And basically what you can do is they set up one of the modules from the Praetor is actually converted into bunk space.
Okay, yeah.
And so they have bunks that they can keep in. And it's not really even bunks. It's more like dorm rooms. It's like 2 beds to a dorm. And so that way they have room to sleep and things like that.
Right. Okay.
So it's not completely private, but
whenever I like kind of envision this stuff, I don't know how much of like Overwatch maps you've seen, but like at Watchpoint Gibraltar, there's all these like underground rooms that are set up very much like military bunk kind of rooms, but like with that sci-fi feel. And that's what I keep imagining a lot when I'm thinking of this.
All right.
I'll
I have not played enough to know that, but
yeah, no, I can send you a
photo. I think I've played a total of 2 matches, and both of those were with Maddie. It takes you guys every bit of a week. On the first day, your guys set out, and they come back. Nobody radioed. Everybody's laughing and carrying on, having a good time. The Praetor is awkwardly walking along behind them. Tritimus is following as well. They tell you about what they saw and why they were out. They pull one of the data pads and have the Praetor push the information to the data pad. You get together with the one of the colonists was a zoologist, and there's a lot of comparison going on with life forms on Earth. And you see they saw a like small bear-like creature.
Fuck yeah, dogs.
Bear-like creature, and your first thing is dogs.
I'm gonna tame it, and it's gonna be my new best friend.
Like bear versus dog, those are kind of different.
They both have teeth and fur, and I love them. So
small like koala bear, or small like a large dog?
Small like a large dog. Small like a wolfhound. I say small bear like a wolfhound size.
Drop bears.
What's that?
Drop bears.
Drop bears, yeah. They noticed that it wasn't completely covered in fur. It was more like a thick hide, and then you could see shaggy fur on parts of its body.
Oh God, what parts?
Like chest and around the head and things like that.
I think we're looking at a Full Metal Alchemist situation here, boys. I think the other colonists have gotten here first.
No.
I think there's been an issue.
No. They say that it was they could see it. It has several pictures of it. You could see it on the data pad, and you watch as it has what appears to be like a melon or something. You watch as it has 3 claws like a sloth does, and it kind of pulls into it and then tears the melon. And you can watch as the top jaw sticks out a little bit further than the lower jaw does. It takes and digs the top part of its mouth into the melon, and then kind of scoops and then pushes the rest of it into its mouth with its hands.
I love it.
As it slowly eats.
It's so good.
It is more sloth-like in that it doesn't seem to move quickly. Oh, okay, yeah, cool. Let's make sure. It doesn't move quickly, but it doesn't move as slow as a sloth does either. Zoologists would classify it more along the lines of a sloth than a bear, but given what they're seeing, it's kind of a mix of. But
I classify it as very kissable.
Sure, you could do that. It seems to notice you watch as the video feed. It looks over at the crew, and then just kind of perks its head up, takes the melon and kind of like lobs it, and then walks and moves away, like kind of picks itself up. And at this point, you can see that the back legs are short. The forelegs are quite long. And the way it lopes is it kind of puts its hands forward and then trundles forward, like watching a gorilla run. Because gorilla, the back legs are smaller than the forelegs, and it just kind of and runs along. The claws bending underneath as it does. They
so good.
They noticed a large something that would be closer, similar to a deer or like a mule deer or an elk or something like that. It had no horns. It had ears that were rounded and tufted out, so kind of like not really bovine, but more like an elk or a moose's ears. The nose was blunted and squared, and when they watched, you see it take its front feet, which look more like camels. They're kind of wide and they have like a cleft in them. Take and put its feet up onto a branch and then hit it a few times and then drag the branch down, where then you see them start to eat the branch itself, not the leaves, which is what deer usually eat. The deer, they eat the leaves, the barks, stuff like that. It starts to eat the branch, and you watch as it tears the branches fibrous, like a green, like a young sapling or a twig would be. It's more fibrous and it pulls apart. You watch as it eats it, and it's like watching something eat cane, some kind of cane, as it tears and strips and then munch. And as you watch, there are two more of these things, and your guesstimate is they're big as mule deer, which are quite big. Not as big as moose, but still quite big.
Big.
And again, no real fur. It's more just like this. It's very, very short hair that's on the body, but mostly it's just kind of a hide. You see a family of those interacting, and you're not really sure yet which one of the males, but you notice that one of them, you didn't see any horns on the first two that you saw, but the third one that comes up has almost like a single bone ridge that comes up over the top of its head and extends out about that far from the top of its head, kind of like in the back. Birds, plenty of birds. It seems like there's a shit ton of birds, different kinds. All sorts of birds. Small lizard life with different styles. I'm not going to describe every animal you see, but they catalog just within the area that they have 40 or 50 different types of animals, just small, down to small, all the way up to the big. Lots of insects as well. Some of the insects are quite large. They resemble dragonflies. They say they haven't seen anything that really looks threatening, but they don't know yet. This
so
is
there's bound to be predators.
What's that? Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. They will, with your permission, they'll go out the next day as well and try to do more scouting for predatory signs. But for now, this is what they found just within the area, doing a perimeter of about less than a mile out in a circle. But that's what they find. And as the first night starts to set in, you watch as the first of the, let's see, this one had 2 moons, if I'm not mistaken. But you watch as the first of the 2 moons rises and starts to drift through the sky. Counterintuitive, because it's from what would be estimated the west and moving eastward as you circle weirdly around. After a while, you see the second moon rise on the western edge, chasing each other through the sky slowly but surely. Night is filled with noises that you're not sure of. Your security team is on detail, ready to pounce on anything. Their rifles at the ready. But as night goes on, nothing seems to happen except that the forest is lit up with some bioluminescent creature that seems to shine kind of like a blue color. Small, like a firefly, but more persistent. It doesn't blink and fade out so much as it kind of flutters through the air. No one's able to capture any because as you get close, they dim the light and seem to disappear from sight. keeping the lights low, you do see some creatures that are attracted, some insects that are attracted to the light. Some of them are particularly alarming looking, but nothing seems to attack you or the crew as far as like being swarmed by insects. There is sure thing. Dawn breaks the next day with the sun chasing the last of the moon, and there is just a moisture in the air that soon turns to rain. And it is not a drizzle, it is not a thin little rain, it is a torrential downpour that lasts for a good solid 20 minutes. You think for a moment there you might get flooded out, but eventually the rain abates and temperate zone returns to its normal life. What would you like to do with day 2 here on this planet? HPS 32. Alpha-1.
We're gonna have to come up with a shorter name for that thing. For this place.
I'm assuming that Nara is dealing with the various injuries and issues that are coming up as people are just making stupid mistakes. Not used to the atmosphere, the slight change in gravity.
Yeah, it's a bit there are not too many major injuries. There are a few scrapes and cuts and things like that here and there. But for the most part, everybody is getting along swimmingly. They're all rather energetic about being here, and everybody's curious to get the mundane out of the way so that they can start to explore
Relax.
more. The seed bank itself is set down, and things are starting to turn towards, is the soil going to be good enough that these plants can survive in here? Things like that. And so, but for the most part, everybody is just kind of, whistle while you work. It seems like a very good environment, and everybody is going at it pretty well.
Going at it? Really? That's
That's
seems
on
a little
you.
soon.
That's on you for that. Okay, that's your mind.
Hey, there's 2 moons. It's doubly romantic at night.
when the moons hit your eyes.
That's exactly like two big
pizza pies.
pizza pies.
That's
amore.
plural.
All right.
In these 2 days, Skippy will have been keeping an eye on the smuggler's crate. Does anybody go for it?
Nobody seems to make a move.
I'll set up a camera to keep it under observation.
Okay.
You subtly.
You pilfer one of the cameras from one of the modules that's no longer being used.
Mm-hmm. I can get Name's help if I need to set it up, I'm sure.
I'm sure Name would help you out with that. Give me an electronics roll there, Name. You have all your tools, so you can have a +1 modifier to that.
And I make sure my evidence file is still there.
Still exists.
Good night. Yeah, you're good there, man. You're awesome there.
Bam.
Yeah, you set it up and rig it up easily enough. You kind of keep an eye on it. It's with the rest of the crate, the crates and stuff that aren't being used momentarily. So, like with the non-perishable foodstuffs and what have you.
Mm.
Day 2 has a bit more of an alarm to it as you watch overhead, as there is a shadow that seems to kind of just glide over the top of the camp in the colony.
Dragons.
You look up to see, hey, quit ruining things.
Wrong RPG.
No, actually, you do see a large leathery winged creature that flies overhead. First, your thought is pterodactyl, but you don't see
Bring the dinosaurs.
it's not a dinosaur, but it is a leathery winged creature that would look more what you would think would be a dinosaur. But the way that it looks, Is how big into fantasy is Tane, or is he more sci-fi?
He's a sci-fi guy. He'd be like, "Holy shit, it's Ridley from Metro."
Yeah. You know what? He probably would. The best description that I can give any of you
God
as
damn,
players
that's
would
8
be
screens worth of asshole.
it looks more like a wyvern or a wyvern for those of you who pronounce it either direction. You see two rear legs tucked in, a long snake-like neck, large leathery wings as it flies overhead. Dragon would not be out of the question for those of you who recognize that. And Tane would probably go, "Holy shit, it's dragon!"
So I think I'd rather
How large is
the
it?
dragon than a pterodactyl, because pterodactyls are
As
flying.
far as up as it's flying, it doesn't look very big at all. But it might be pretty high up in the sky.
Well, that's
Danger bird.
Danger bird.
Danger bird. Off limits.
Do we have any kind of drones?
Sure. Like you're talking about, just like man-driven little drones.
Yeah, or automated or whatever, something that we could use to scout around.
Yes, absolutely, you do.
I'll try to launch one to go after that thing.
Dragon.
All right.
Oh my god.
You quickly get one up in the air, plotting your home destination back to where you are. So 0,0 marks it there. You send it out to fly. It gets pretty far. You watch as this thing lopes out over the ocean, tucks its wings, and dives in. And when it does, it becomes basically almost like a snake with rear legs. It's just this big body that dives into the water. It hits, leaving almost no splash, and then it comes back out. You watch as it throws open its wings, throwing water. It has speared some sort of fish or caught some sort of fish in its mouth. You watch as it snakes back around and then goes southward from where you guys would be and goes into the trees. As it does, you watch as there's a shimmer, and it goes from being like this kind of a grayish color to being almost green and brown.
Kind of like it's a chameleon.
Chameleon effect. Luckily, you kind of watch where it went so you don't lose track of it. It lands and takes its wing and wraps it around the tree trunk. So, like I said, like a wing, so it's like long 3 fingers that are there.
Kind of like bats do.
Yeah, it wraps it around there, and it tosses the fish up, and then chomp, 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 and eats.
Comparing it to the tree, can I get an idea of its size?
Yeah. Wingspan would probably be somewhere around 20 feet, tip to tip. Its length overall from tip of the snout to end of the tail would probably be, let's see, about 16 feet, maybe. Because you watch as, no, I'm sorry, it's 30 feet, tip to tip, 30 feet. Because when it brings the wings in, when you watched it dive, there was no overlap of the wing. The wing fit against the body. Almost.
Okay, the wings were, you said, a 20-foot wingspan?
Uh-huh. So each side would be 10 plus feet, not including the body, would be 10 feet for the body.
I'm trying to look at pterodactyls that had 20-foot wingspan to get an idea of how big the thing probably is.
Just go birds with a 20-foot wingspan, or creatures with a 20-foot wingspan.
Here, there's a 30-foot wingspan. There's one.
There's one.
So it could potentially be dangerous to people, but probably is going to be hunting fish and stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
Looks big enough that maybe it could make off with one of you.
One of the children.
That
I assume will pop up sometime or another.
They're tender and bursty, like gummies in your mouth. All right. Other than that, the crew sets off finding signs for more predatory life. They come back, expanding their perimeter to a mile around the base. Tridemus goes with them once more.
I think Quentin would go with them at least once,
Okay.
just to kind of map out the area.
Yeah. Also, like, yeah, he's the navigator. I feel like that would make sense for him.
Absolutely. So you head out with them, using a drone that you have every once in a while, letting it take off so that you can get a better lay of the land and the mapping of the area. You are on what is basically a shelf. You are probably about... So it wouldn't be a mile like in a complete circle because they'd be out in the water, but it's a mile in an arc around the perimeter. You can see that the forest continues on and that there are rocky outcroppings, but nothing that would make for a mountain. It's more like large protrusions of rock that don't get very high up. You know, high enough that you could easily climb them like a rock wall almost. But the ground here is within the forest is a bit rockier. Out towards the where you guys were, it was more dirt, loose dirt. You watch as there are all manners of creature. Again, most of them seem to give you a curious look and then skitter away. You see some small creatures that would probably remind you of a cross between like a squirrel and a weasel. Like, I guess a stoat.
A squeezle!
A stoat would probably be a good example of what it looks like.
I love stoats.
It's long. It's got a long body. It has short fur that is kind of a mottled brown, and it doesn't have a fluffy tail like a squirrel. It has kind of a more like a... It's not bushy tail, but it's a little front, and it's not as long. It's kind of a short tail. But it's like I said, it's like a long body. The best description is like a ferret. You know how a ferret looks? Like a stoat. Like I said, if you look up a stoat, that's what it looks like.
I love stoats.
But where a stoat has thicker fur, this doesn't. It has very short, coarse fur. As you're watching, you see the first kind of, I guess, canine or lupine looking creature. As you're watching, you see what's that?
Run, small creature, run! I can only see where this is going.
Yeah, it's eating, and you watch as this four-legged creature with its legs aren't long, they're short, like a badger, a little longer than a badger. It has a long snout that ends in a point, almost like a rounded point, and sharp teeth as it opens its mouth. It doesn't make a sound. Its ears that you can see are small. They're pressed to the head. And then you watch as it darts forward. No tail that you can see, but it moves really quickly. And you watch as the little stoat-like creature looks up with its body in time, and it darts around the rock. This thing, without even missing a beat, hits the ground and turns as it jumps and makes its way under the rock to try to grab that. There's a squeal and a snap sound.
No.
And I'm not going to give you the rest of the description, but yeah, the stoat did not win this day.
Boy.
Yeah, the stoat did not win this day.
Angry boy eats nice friend. Eats a sweet baby boy. Rest well, sweet prince.
Rest well, sweet prince.
As you guys are marching along, there are signs of larger creatures that might be predatory.
Oh boy.
You don't see any, but you can see claw marks.
Footprints, I'm guessing.
Yep, definitely footprints. You find scat from different animals here and there. But as the day starts to wane on, you guys realize you should probably and head back.
Before it gets too dark.
Yep. Evening of day 2 is a thunderstorm. You're not unfamiliar with lightning and how it works, but it seems to be that in this area, boy, it's powerful. It seems to arc through the sky more than striking the ground, which is interesting, considering how electricity works, but you watch out over the ocean specifically as it just kind of large bolts that make the sky light up almost as bright as day shoot hither and yon through the clouds that are dark on the horizon. You can't see the rain, but you can hear the sound of it pounding down. And again, it's that heavy torrential rain that you had earlier. A wind picks up and starts to whip some of the buildings back and forth. And not long after the wind, you have that sound of the rain pounding down in the night. The moon is obscured. The moons are obscured by clouds. And again, it doesn't last very long. And then once it's passed, it's quiet again. Animal sounds pick up, sounds you're not familiar with. The little blue lit bugs that you had the day before don't return. You don't know if it's because of the rain or what, but they don't seem to return that evening. And dawn of the third day. I don't know why that was a funny thing, but okay.
We
Lord
look up
saw
and
that
the
it was
moon has
good.
a face. One of the moons has a face and is slowly coming closer.
What are you doing down there? You can see that the forest did not survive completely the ravages of the previous night, as there are charred marks where lightning has hit trees. A lot of the people are a little more restless today. It was really hard to sleep with all of the sounds going on with the lightning and the thunder and the rain. There's a few more terse words, and people seem to be crabby today. Maybe it's just tired. Plant life is interesting. A lot of flowering bushes. There's not a whole lot of undergrowth, believe it or not, for a rainforest. You would think there would be more, but there's not. What is there are big palm-fronded plants, or wide, broad leaf, and then some with tiny leaves, more like ferns. You also see a lot of flowery bushes, century plants, like avocado aloe plants and things like that. Avocado is not what I was thinking of. My brain was like, oh, it starts with an A, avocado. No, wait, that's not what it was. Aloe. Century plants like aloe plants and things like that. You see a lot of those bright colored flowers. Something that would be like, it's a plant. It's a meat-eating plant. It's a carnivorous plant with the jug. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, the victory bell.
The pitcher plant. Is it what's called? Pitcher plant.
Yeah.
You see one that looks like that. The bulb of the flower itself is gigantic, and it's orange and red that runs together, looking like fire. And you can see inside and smell this like sweet smell inside of it. you watch as this large-looking, slow-moving, beetle-like creature with a hard shell, iridescent purple and black. It lands in there, and as you watch, the plant closes, the flower closes up.
Oh, holy shit, it ain't Paul McCartney.
Oh,
No.
that's bad. Skippy, what would you like to do? You ask everybody about forming up the ship and exploring the other planet.
Yeah, I'll talk to Nane and any of the other science guys as to how feasible it is, if we could do so without leaving the colony without power, that sort of thing.
It's quite feasible. It's quite easy to do. Most of it's designed to kind of do that because they wouldn't leave you without something. Where the ship is at now, the bridge, which was kind of a standalone flying vessel, it looks almost akin to one of the transport vehicles from like Star Trek or something like that. You know, where it doesn't have wings; it's just this like flying box, basically. It looks a lot like that. It can definitely go short distances, like planet to planet, maybe. It can definitely cover the surface of this planet if you wanted to fly around. I mean, not indefinitely, but you could go a pretty long distance and come back. You could probably rig it to go between the two planets. They're not, I mean, as far as planets go, they're not huge distances. They're pretty close. Not Earth to Moon, but more like Earth to Mars. But with the right help, you could probably get something rigged up.
Yeah, I'll get Nane to help me if he has time. I don't know how much the science guys are doing right now. And the Tritimus.
Tritimus, okay. The Tritimus looks at what you have currently and tells you, yes, it's quite feasible to make something that would allow us to travel quickly from one planet to the next to investigate further. I'm quite curious myself after what your scans do.
Just a little puddle jumper.
Yeah, something quick enough to get there and back. I am concerned, from what your scan shows, the oxygen levels on there aren't quite on par with what you would need to survive, and that is a concern.
We have spacesuits.
Yes, I was going to say we would definitely want to make sure that you have your vac suits and that they are more prepared for
Mag boots.
Why would you use mag boots on the planet, you crazy metal?
It could be an iron-based planet.
Could be, sure.
Listen, it's not the actual use of the mag boots. It's the experience, the aesthetic.
The fact that he just gets to put mag boots on at all.
All right.
Well, I wasn't going to take Tane. I was going to take two nameless security guys in red shirts with
Yeah.
Red shirts.
All right. It takes you a bit of time, but with Tritimus and Nane's assistance, you guys definitely rig up the bridge so that you could fly it to the nearest planet and back. The trip to the planet is going to probably take you 2 days. So, I mean, it's pretty good. That's a pretty good clip.
Yeah.
Distance between. Who all wants to go?
I mean, mapping another planet, definitely.
So, Quentin's on board.
Yeah.
I know Nane's going. Nane's like, you're not leaving me on this planet. You got another one to discover? Heck yeah, I'm going.
Let's see what's out there.
I know Skippy's going. I know you're. Are you taking Tritimus or Praetor? Either one.
Do either one of them want to go?
I mean, the Tritimus has already said he'd like to go. Praetor is like hugging the former parts of him that were there.
Then yes, I will take the robots with him.
Okay.
Tane is gonna attempt to go. Like he's gonna.
You can leave someone in charge, yeah.
Okay, because I mean, I figured.
Yeah. It's only supposed to be a couple of days, so
some sort of protection just in case.
Also,
the fight happens.
I'm sorry. Did you say you're bringing Tritimus?
Yes.
Okay, well then, yeah, I'm going because I really don't want to leave.
Tane's like, you're bringing him? Yeah, I'm definitely going.
Okay, yeah, no.
Okay, yeah, no, we're going. All right. So, you all load up. Nara, are you going?
Nope. She's gonna stay on the planet. She's got too much shit to do.
All right.
Mood.
We will request somebody from the medical crew.
I know, basic CPR.
She'll send somebody that she trusts, but she can't go herself. There's too many people doing stupid shit, and people are like 10 minutes away from stabbing each other.
You take Nurse Ross with you. They are quite capable. They inform you in that nondescript tone that they could have taken and passed the medical exam at any point in time, but they just figured that they didn't need to. They're not full of themselves, but they're full of themselves. It's a perfect match for Tritimus. You set off ready to launch. There's some concern from the civilian government, which is basically a small council of people that kind of say, hey, you know, should we be allowing some of the heads of the crew to be heading off with the only vehicle that can really get us out around if we need to? Others are like, it's fine. They're just going on an exploratory mission. They'll be right back. It's perfectly safe. Not to mention they have the Tritimus. Why are we trusting that AI anyways? We don't even know where it comes from, what its intentions are. Oh, it's perfectly harmless. Look, it's helped us. And the arguments go on and on as you guys.
By the time they finish arguing, we've been there and back.
Yeah,
As they continue arguing, you're just loading the ship up and just take off.
No. I want everybody to write down their thoughts, and when we get back, you can share them. As the ship takes
off. Yes, little civvies, have your talk.
Yep.
Talk it out, you'll be fine.
The trip there is nondescript. It's by this time, space travel is just such a non sequitur. It's just such a thing now. It's just like whatever.
It's like a road trip with the family.
Exactly. It's like loading up and going to the local Mapco. I'm just running to the Walmart to grab a few things. I'll be right back. You do get a better view of the two moons that circle or are, in orbit around the planet.
We'll scan them as we go by.
Sure, HPS 32A-1. Okay, yes. You can scan them. I would like for you to do me a favor.
Oh boy.
On your character sheet, I would like for you... Give me an electronics roll.
Any bumps?
Yes, you can give it 2 bumps. Tritimus has help. All I saw was names. It didn't scroll down automatically. It's like, what? Oh, okay. One of the moons is much like our own. Very small very low gravitational pull. No real atmosphere to speak of. It's a rock that has pockmarks from being hit by other objects.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is in the same condition as far as the oxygen or the atmosphere, and the gravity is a little higher, not enough to break the orbit of the planet. And on this one, you notice that there are non-natural structures as well.
We'll do a flyby to get a really good look at those.
Okay. From space without landing on the surface of the planet, or
there won't be an atmosphere in our way.
What's that?
There shouldn't be much of an atmosphere to interfere with us.
But I was going to say you couldn't really see anything because of they're not like huge structures. They're just. Would you like to try to get closer to the surface of that moon? That's no moon. No, sorry, I couldn't resist.
What do the rest of the guys think? Nain, Tane?
Quentin?
I'm indifferent. I'm just here to keep people from fucking exploding.
I was about to say, please. Finish
I was like, are you full stopping
Yeah.
there?
Full stop is.
Listen,
Because
Nate,
Full
I
stop
know
is-
you've been
if
making
that's the
eyes
case,
with the
then,
Tridibus, but
if that's the case, we might need to have a talk.
yeah, we're not going to be able to repopulate this colony because Tane's going to be running around with an air horn like, Sex Patrol, get out of the sleeping bag, asshole!
It's like everybody's back at camp. That's summer
It's
camp.
the scene from Spaceballs where the robot wakes up. Virgin alert! Virgin alert!
Yeah.
Boys on one side, girls on the other.
It's my virgin alarm.
There's
Whoa,
the one
whoa.
that walks. There's the one lady that walks around with the ruler. Save room
Yeah.
for make room for Jesus and puts it in between these.
Listen, I'm really quick segue. I can't make this up. When I went to my little things like at church or whatever, our cons, they were really fun and they were great, but they would always recruit a team of the representatives from our region for the churches. And they were always like kids our age, and they called them the Sex Death Patrol. And they gave them little squirt bottles and T-shirts that said Sex Death Patrol on them. And they would walk around, and if they caught anybody having sex in their sleeping bags after like 10 or whatever, you know, once everyone had gone to bed, they would start like squirting them with it, and they'd be like, Sex Death Patrol, Sex Death Patrol. And it was
Why?
really funny.
What an awesome band name, one.
Okay. Yeah. That what?
Name of our next adventure, 2.
If we don't name it that, I'm suing.
The Sex
Somebody
Death
else is gonna have to
Patrol.
write that one. I got nothing there.
That's gonna be the name of my magical girl team.
That explains a lot.
All right. Back on track. No opposition to going to the surface of this moon to discover what might be there.
Oh, I don't see why not.
Full speed ahead.
Moon ninjas.
All right, we go land close to the structure, or just drift down close to the structure.
All right. Drifting down close to the structure, you see what appears to be once upon a time a long stretch of like a path, like a launching pad, or like an airstrip or something like that. You see buildings on either side of the end, and they're not like a ziggurat where they're actually like stepped, but they're pointed like that. You know, like I said, like a pyramid with a flat top instead of a point. But the sides aren't completely sloped. You see one on either side. They're more tower than pyramid. Does that make sense?
There's some slope to it, but
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
There's some slope, but it's not as wide.
yeah.
And again, there's no point on the top. It's flat on the top. There's 2 of them, one on either side of that. You also see behind that a low, like squat building, like 1-story building. That's pretty big from what you can tell, like the size of the Pentagon. So we're talking pretty big structure.
Ask the Tridemus if the architecture looks like anything he's seen before or is aware of.
Interesting enough, it does appear to be crosses with others that I've seen in the past, but in and of itself, it's wholly unique. In other words, the shapes are similar to those that I've seen in other structures, but the structure itself is something new to me.
What does it look like it's made of? Or what does the scanners tell us it's made of?
It looks like all of these are made of stone. You can get the idea that there's maybe metal underneath, but for the most part, you can tell these structures are made from stone. The one thing that lets you kind of understand that there might be something going on here is that here and there you see large holes or like craters in parts of the building. It doesn't have like burn mark around the crater. It doesn't look like something blasted it, but more like it was pummeled with something.
Like it's been here long enough to take some meteor strikes.
Exactly. Yeah, just like that. So like the landing strip isn't perfect. You know, you can see here and there where it's been hit by meteors.
Does it
crashing.
look like a landing strip like you would use for an airplane? Or is it more like a long area you could use like a helipad, you know, for vertical takeoff and landing?
It's long, more designed for like either an airplane or some other craft to actually gain speed to lift off with.
So they got to their moon, or somebody got to this moon.
Then dipped.
Had the engineering skills to build something the size of the Pentagon, but had to use runways.
Yep.
Amateurs.
All right. Are you going to head to the...
Yeah, we don't see any kind of... We're not picking up any kind of odd lights or electrical use or...
Not from where you're at. You'd have to get out and see more inside by getting out.
Then my vote is to go to the planet. This is something that needs to be investigated, but it looks like it can keep for a little while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Skippy is paranoid about alien armies. Let's go make sure there's not hostile aliens.
All right.
Like, why did you mess up our vacation home on the
Skippy
moon?
is paranoid. Full stop.
You...
Skippy's not paranoid.
Not as paranoid as...
Skippy is squeezing.
Do you see any tinfoil in here? No.
You know, they found that tinfoil could actually increase the frequency for low band radio waves, so like you probably shouldn't use it if you're trying to protect against government signals.
You leave the surface of that moon, Atlas. You are a blessing. You leave the surface of the moon and travel your distance to the far planet. You break in its liquid. You can see water on the surface of it. There's a lot more of a green, like almost a green hue to the surrounding area. As though you're looking through, not like one of the old Coke bottles, but something along those lines. It's just kind of a slightly greenish hue to it.
Difference in the atmosphere or something?
Yeah, exactly. And as you breach, you realize it's like punching through, not hard, but like pushing your hand through
Plastic wrap?
not like plastic wrap, because it's not even that much resistance. It's more like, imagine you had a box that was full of packing peanuts.
Oh.
And you know how you can push your hands through it, but there's a little bit of resistance from just the amount of them. It's kind of that feeling, so you immediately feel a drag on the system. And the first sight you see is not trees and mountains and other things, although they are there, you see them. It is a massive tower that looks like the top part of it is broken. But had it continued, it looks like it would continue past the outer atmosphere.
Space elevator.
Like a space elevator of some kind.
Is there any like rubble around the tower? That would stay
There are large portions of metal and stone and other like concrete and things like that. You can see where it has fallen from its perch on high and crashed to the planet's surface.
Any odd radiation levels or anything?
Yes. Well, not odd, but yes, there is a radiation level that would be dangerous for long exposure over time. Like, we're talking like, you know, several decades of exposure over time. We're not talking like a couple of years. We're talking 40, 50, 60 years of exposure to it.
You don't want constant exposure, but it ain't going to bother us this visit.
Right. To be here for a short period of time is not going to bother you. You notice there are buildings surrounding the space elevator that went up. Multiple structures. You can see where the remainder of like radar array and different dishes and things like that. And unlike the surface of the moon, you can definitely see where there are the old adages and vestiges here and there of what looks like blast work. over time with precipitation, things like that, any of the original scorching would probably have washed or faded, but you can definitely tell where there were blasts, and it's not broken due to erosion, but more like it's been broken due to damage to the structure itself.
Hey, Nain. This background radiation we've got, is there any way for you to determine if it's natural or if these folks bombed themselves into extinction?
The Tridemus actually says, if I might interject for a moment.
Please do.
I believe that this was the action and the remnants of what appears to be a battle of some sort. Much like the structure that you saw on the moon, I'm not familiar with these in particular. I don't believe it's the fight that I showed you. But one, because that's eons from here, it feels like. But this is definitely the telltale signs of combat.
Ooh, spicy.
Not to alarm you all, but I'm picking up a short band radio frequency.
What's being broadcast?
Oddly enough, it's not a language that I speak. But I gather from the context and the way and timbre and tone that it's a distress message.
It repeats?
It does repeat. It's very pattern-like.
Can we trace it?
We can. It's coming from the structure that we see currently.
Is he gesturing to the space elevator?
That is correct. Yeah, he's actually gesturing to one of the buildings below it, like that are sit at the base of it.
Hey, Tane, how many guns did you bring?
Yeah, one for each on my
All
body.
All of them. I brought all of the guns.
So many.
Can I make a special request?
Yes.
Which is that Tane has his like handguns like on his sides, but he like pulls this thing off his back and it's just like a fucking like laser rifle.
Sure, he pulls off what basically equates
He just
to
like takes it off. He's like, enough.
What a badass.
He immediately trips and falls.
He ruined it.
Ejects the battery. He ejects the battery and looks down at it like it's an old-fashioned magazine. There's nothing to see. It's just a battery plug, like with a strip line in there.
It's just like
he's making the noises. It doesn't even cock. It's just him making the noises.
Tane, what are you doing?
What a fucking nerd.
Quentin's not surprised at this point. He's like,
like, I mean, yeah, that's about right.
This guy, right? What do you do?
It's fine. Let him have fun. It's okay.
I've seen this man give himself a shaving cream mustache more times than I care to admit. This is
somebody stops. Somebody goes to say something, and you just watch as Quentin just takes and puts it. No, just let it go. just let it go.
It's been a while since I've been able to do this. Just
as you circle the surface of the planet A-2, a strange broadcast on the radio waves. Tane armed to the teeth and questions and concerns about what happened here. Good. So I would like to thank everybody. Atlas playing Tane, who was such a trooper. Thank you. I hope you get to feeling 100% by the end of this week.
Yeehaw.
Maddie, who is playing Dr. Kalinar Morrison, and Jason, who was our Ensign Skippy. We had V, who was playing Quentin, our navigational officer, and Pelka, who was playing Nain. Collinson, our science officer. I did want to also thank, although she had to leave early, Jack, who was playing our Captain Marilyn. And join us again either Monday, where we will be doing fantasy with two of the crew members here. In a Foundations of Adalar. We are going to be doing episode number 30. There will be a game giveaway, so tune in, tell your friends. We can give you a free game, because who doesn't want a free game, right? And then we'll be back again on Wednesday. Real quick announcements coming up in November. I will have a con on the 3rd and the 4th, NerdCon in downtown Huntsville at the Huntsville Public Library. I will be doing a panel, although I do need to get the form out so that I can actually secure my panel time. But I'll be doing a panel as well as running an analog game. I'll be doing a tabletop game. I'm working with Mastermind Models and Miniatures, another local company, to actually build 3D terrain. So I've got 3D terrain to go with the game that we'll be playing. And then on the 9th and 10th and the 11th, let's say, or the 8th, 9th, and 10th, that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in November, we will be doing a pre-release event for the D&D crossover with Magic the Gathering's Realms of Ravnica, where we will actually be running a special D&D adventure that comes out for just the stores who are doing the selling and the promotion of it. So I will be, of course, running those there on that weekend. So please feel free to come out, say hi, stop by, have a good time, come sit down and play. If you've never played 5th edition, but you love Magic the Gathering, now is the time to get into both, if you've never played either. And, of course, if you played 5th edition but don't know much about MTG, well, here's your chance to get on that on the opposite side. Other than that, I do want to give a special thank you to Maddie, who is taking on even more work for me as she helps to organize and improve our YouTube playlist and brings all that together. I want to say thank you to you for all of that and that you do, and to all of my players. I appreciate and love you guys. You make this a lot of fun. So until next time, you guys take care of yourselves. We love you all. Bye now.